Behold the source wall. Behind it is the single greatest secret of the universe. This is as far as I dare to go.
I always leave the damn banner up every time.
I noticed that too. I was like, the banner is up still.
Fail. Oh, fail. Welcome to Beyond the Source Wall with me. I'm your host, Seek, and my other host. What's your name?
Oh, my name's Alex Wilson. I thought you were going to introduce me.
I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna, but then I was like, I'm too lazy for that.
Then you just stopped. It was such a hard cut.
Yeah, I did. Well, you know, that's what you're dealing with here.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, that's perfect.
What you did. That's what you did.
I'm not used to a co-host. That's why.
Yeah, you're used to just talking to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Or just like ignoring the voices in my head. So Alex here, I made you a new logo.
I'm excited about it.
It's right there above your head. It's the Animal Man A. So there you go.
He's a good character, I think, for people to read. Like if you're trying to read DC, Animal Man's got some fun runs that I think really, really showcase what DC has to offer.
Yeah, besides a few sports players, who doesn't like dogs, and other animals? So
exactly.
So yeah, and I gave myself Steel's S symbol, so that way I wasn't like Superman. Like I wasn't like, hey, I'm the biggest, baddest. I was like, all right, he's gonna be Animal Man. I'm gonna be Steel, who is also pretty damn cool.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was the same. It was the same dynamic when you were Superman and I was Anarchy.
No way. I think Steel and Animal Man are pretty cool, like on par with each other.
Yeah, but like Superman and Anarchy weren't.
No, they were. That's why I changed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're tuning in before we get started with tonight's movie, which is going to be Batman Ninja, so make sure you pull it up. I have mine on my Kindle here, and I'm going to have that ready to go. But before we get into that, we're going to do two things. One, we're going to talk a little bit about some DC comic news that came out today. We'll try to be really brief because I want to get Alex's opinion on these things. And also, two, Alex hasn't seen the Mortal Kombat trailer, so we are going to watch that as well before we start this movie. So I'm very excited. All right, so we'll start, Alex, with the comic book news first. Obviously, the only news I cared about this week from DC, and not to offend DC, but this was just the best thing in the world for me. We are getting a Batman 89 comic book. How awesome is that?
I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, and here we got the cover right here by Joe Quinones. I really love seeing Joe's name now. I've been a fan of Joe's actually since the year of my aneurysm. He did a comic book for DC in 2010 called Wednesday Comics, which was printed on giant newspaper.
Oh, I remember those. Yeah, I remember. I got a few of those Wednesday comic editions. They're a lot of fun.
They're awesome. And he drew the Green Lantern story in them, actually. And he was like a newcomer to comics. He was like, I think a teacher or something, or his wife was. I can't remember. I heard the story of how he got recruited to go to DC. But I've been a fan of his for like 10 years now. So he released some artwork right here of what his designs for Batman and some of the other characters are going to look like.
Those look pretty cool. I actually like these better than the cover you showed me. You showed me the cover and I was kind of iffy on it, but these look really cool.
Yeah, so basically I think this takes place right after Batman Returns. So it's set in that timeline. So it's like, so his costume is a mix between the first movie and the second movie, according to Joe Quinones. And what's really cool about that Bruce Wayne suit there, where he's wearing the black, that is actually a toy. There's an actual action figure where you clip on the Batman armor onto the toy.
Oh, and that's like an exosuit underneath sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like it has like his heart monitor, and it's something he wears between himself and the suit. It's like a thermal gear.
So how long after the movie is this set? Do you know? Does it say?
I can't remember. I want to say months, I think, because we actually have some other characters joining the group. Like we have Commissioner Gordon, who's been in the movies. And we have Alfred in the movie version of Alfred. But Harvey Bullock has never been in the Batman movies. And I saw someone saying like, oh, Bullock was in the first Batman movie. No, he wasn't. There was a cop called Eckhart who was in the first movie, but
Kind
it was
of
not.
Bullock-esque.
Yeah, he was Bullock-esque, but he wasn't Bullock. So now
He's
we
a good
got Harvey
addition.
Bullock.
He
Yeah, no,
fits
that's a
into
great
that-
addition.
Yeah, like he fits into that kind of I don't know, ambiance really well. That's kind of
I
a
agree.
universe built for him.
Yeah, Bullock, I think, is going to fit really well into the Tim Burton Batman universe.
Yeah, the same way he fit really well into like the White Knight, Sean Murphy universe.
Yeah, he was good in that. Yeah. And then the last piece of art we got here was this here.
Oh, these are my favorite. Out of
yeah,
everything
the
you've showed
Joker
me,
gang.
these are pretty cool. I like this like late 80s kind of street style he's got going on here.
What I love though is a couple of these characters are from Batman Beyond.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the guy on the left with the mohawk and the visor, visor he's wearing is very 80s inspired, but it's also very it's a nod to the Dark Knight Returns where the mutants wore visors like that. Obviously the guy in the middle, I know that design, the African American guy there with the clown nose. I think he's based on something, but I can't remember which. I want to say he's Bonk, but he's just not wearing the makeup on his face. But the guy in the middle is obviously the ringleader of this Joker gang, and he's designed to look like Prince, which is very awesome. That is so awesome. He's probably a foot taller than the real Prince, but he is. It's really cool. I mean, I'm such a Prince fan, so I love this so much. And then the two girls here are from Batman Beyond. There's a Joker gang in Batman Beyond, and these two
twin set.
Yeah, there's twins. They're called D and D. So DD. And I like their shirts. All of this in brains and all of this in brains too. But they spelled two wrong, which I really like. But yeah, DD, she's they're twins. They're Harley Quinn's grandchildren.
Oh, that's
in Batman Beyond.
Weird connection.
In Batman Beyond, they are.
Okay.
Like, she just shows up and she pays for their bail to get him out of jail, and she goes, "I'm bringing you home right now." And they're like, Grandma Harley." I think that was just a fun way for them to put Harley in an episode. But we have some tweets here. Joe Canona said he's so happy to finally announce his next project. Apparently, he's been working on this for a year, Alex.
Really?
Yeah, they started talking about this and planning this a year ago this month, I believe. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's typically how things go in comics. But could you imagine keeping this secret for a whole year? I'd lose my mind.
It's one of those things. It's like the people trying to keep like before Watchmen secret before it came out. It was like, really, you think you're going to keep that secret?
Hey, but they did. They kept this a secret. And so this is Darren Robinson. He's the one who created the logo. So he made this logo, Batman 89. And then the other book we'll talk about real quick, which is Superman 78.
I'll say I'm significantly less excited for this. The Batman 89 is really what I care about.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Batman 89, the creative team on it, we have right here. It's going to be Sam Hamm, who wrote the first Batman movie with Tim Burton. So he's coming back to write the comic. And Joe Canota's the artist. Robert Venditti, who I'm a huge fan of, he did a great run on Hawkman recently. I liked his Justice League run, and before that, I really liked his Green Lantern run. He followed Jeff Johns, which was not easy to do, and I thought he did a really great job on Green Lantern. And then Wilfredo Torres is the artist of Superman 78, and this is real quickly.
Oh, I like that art a lot. It's very simple and it fits the time period well.
Yeah, I like it. It's a definite contrast to the Batman stuff.
I almost think it's kind of like the art style I wish they were in that Superman Smashes the Klan book.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I would have loved to see that story through this. Because the art's not bad in that book. It's a good book. It's just a little, I think, Disney-y for me.
Sure.
But I love that art. I think he does a really good job of capturing, like, I think, a time period with his style.
I agree. And his art I'm not familiar with, but when I saw this, you should have seen the smile on my face. Like the day they released these, I was like, I even put out a really aggressive tweet because I think it was a couple years ago or something. Zack Snyder was doing a panel, and he's like, "Hey, if you like, Christopher Reeve Superman and all that, and Michael Keaton Batman, like that's great. I'm glad you're a fan of that. but you're living in a fucking dream world if you think that, like that works today. And so when I retweeted this, I put, oh man, I love this. I guess I live in a fucking dream world. But of course, I mean, I'm just having some fun. I don't mean any ill will. I do sometimes wish Snyder wasn't so confrontational with his opinions, but hey, whatever. It riles up his fan base, and they got his movie made. So what do I know? So anyway,
our trailer.
Yeah, let's get onto our trailer. I'm going to keep our logo stuff off so we can just do this trailer real quick. So let's add this in. Oops, not full screen though. Do this. No, and I want Alex there. Okay, there you go. Can you see it pretty good?
Yeah, that's perfect for me.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to watch this trailer real quick. We're going to get Alex's reaction. I'm going to try to stay quiet, and then we'll get started with Batman Ninja soon after. So here we go.
It's a Red Band trailer. Those are always, you always got to think Red Band trailers are just a better representation of what the actual movie is.
There.
It looks nice.
In a second.
Oh, sorry.
The target has superhuman abilities. It had the same marking you do, Cole.
It's a birthmark.
What do you mean?
He was born with it.
It's not a birthmark, Cole. It means you've been chosen.
Throughout history, different cultures all over the world.
Nice landscape shot there.
Yeah, that was a good, beautiful shot.
Champions. I think it's an invitation to fight for something.
So Cole is like a new character, right?
People think that's a fake name for him, but yes, he's a new character.
That could be. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. It would be a fake name. You just want to like hope it kind of connects more to like a lot of the Mortal Kombat stuff instead of just like someone who's random.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for the lag, everybody. I guess I have too much going on the screen, so it might be causing some lag.
The effects look like they're going to be at least very nice.
You will not fail. Kill them.
I like the fire. That's what I hope like fire bending looks like in the Avatar live action show.
Yeah,
that looks pretty nice. Like that's what I kind of expect fire bending to sort of look like. Ooh, that's Mortal Kombat.
That's the theme song too.
China wins. You fucking beauty.
Well, I will be watching that on HBO Max.
Hell yeah, we will. I'll probably watch it without you, and then if you ever want to do a commentary on it one day, I'll do that with you too.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Or we could just watch it together for fun.
Not on the first time. I'm not going to do that.
No, I mean we don't have to stream it. We could just watch it together.
Picture, damn it, of this. Of
what's that?
Face in a different way, and it looks.
Oh, that's Angry Joe. That's angry. It must have.
Autoplay. Oh yeah, autoplay the video.
Sorry, everybody. That's amazing. I was like, well, that sounds like Angry Joe. How did he get on my show?
Well, we're 15 minutes in. We should probably start. We try to do these 10-minute intros, and they always go so long.
Well, at least we had a reason this time. I'm okay with watching the Mortal Kombat trailer with you. Awesome. So, all right. So, Batman Ninja. So, like I said, like always, I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, 0, and we press play on 0. All right. So, get your movie ready. And here we go. Batman Ninja came out in 2018. 3, 2, 1, 0. All right. Oh, I got to turn this down. That is loud.
Yeah, I always have to like balance the audio. And then when I go back to like watch movies, I'm like, why is my audio so low here?
I'm a pain in the butt because when I don't have headphones on, I turn it all the way up because I can't hear very well. I love that shot with the sword.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice way to animate the logo.
Yeah.
Okay,
But when I have headphones on, I can only hear it one ear. I don't like it so loud. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Selena Kyle is narrating.
It's cool.
This is already like super anime right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like he's fighting.
Just that building there was like
the building.
Yeah.
The way like that like kind of mechanism looks.
Right. Yeah.
Like even this big weird sphere shot, it just looks like a big battle anime.
Well, it is.
It is a big battle anime. That's what I think is going to be fun during this. We're going to be able to talk more about like anime and stuff, which I always find interesting.
Yeah, we can talk about our experience with anime because I feel like you and I have probably very different experiences with anime.
Yeah, I think we've both watched a lot of anime, but I think we've watched vastly different kinds.
Well, anime was different for like someone my age compared to someone your age. Like anime was hard to find when I was growing up.
I remember my experience growing up was I was lucky enough to have 2 Suncoast videos in my hometown.
Yeah.
So I could go to Suncoast Videos and get like anime VHS tapes.
Yeah.
It was always funny because you never knew what you were really getting, and they were always out of order. So if you found something from a series you like, it was usually like the 4th volume or the 7th volume.
Right.
And the VHS never had more than like 3 episodes on it.
Right. Yeah.
Who's the voice actor for Batman here?
I think it's Chris Redfield from Resident Evil. Let me look up his name. I can't remember right now. He's one of those actors with 3 names, like something Craig Smith.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's actually a good idea to have the cast up.
He's like trying to like, what can I grappling hook onto? Oh, everything's no more than 2 stories.
Yes, right. I love that too.
So far, I'm impressed. I will say I don't like the animation style, but they're doing really cool things with it.
Yeah. Oh, I like the animation. Roger Craig Smith. He's the voice of Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 5 and 6, I believe.
Okay.
And he's also the voice of Batman in this game, Batman Arkham Origins, which is why I wore the shirt tonight.
I like this kind of sword intro, but it's a little on the nose for like we're doing Batman Ninja.
Well, I mean, they really do. I mean, like most of the crew on this is Japanese. Like,
okay.
So I will give them that. Like, they didn't get like, their normal DC animated people to work on this. Mm-hmm. Maybe like 1 or 2 producers, but almost every name in this, besides the voice actors, are Japanese. And they actually picked a studio who like a specific studio. So they already
like
had
this is beautiful. Like this whole kind of water paint shot that they have right now with the Torii Gate and the city in the background.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, I really do like this one.
I don't know what it is about CGI animation that throws me off. I think it's the movement. Like, I think it always looks good when it's still, but when you have big movements, I'm like, something feels weird to me about it.
Well, there's a contrast, right? Because the backgrounds, like you've noticed, are watercolors, or they're like a set image.
Yeah, they're kind of like you're saying,
right? He's moving along the still image, so it's like there's a contrast, but it's not one that is very pleasing, I guess, to the like most eyes. But
I wonder if it's like a frame rate thing. Like with animation, there's a set frame rate, and my eye's so used to that. And with like this CGI stuff, you can up the frame rate so much without too much extra work in comparison to animation. And maybe that's what throws me off. Like it's like you never see a TV and you watch a movie at 60 frames a second versus 24, and it feels weird at 60.
Right. Yes.
And I feel like that's kind of the problem I have with it.
Fair enough. So obviously they've been sent back in time to feudal Japan.
I thought this was 1920s New York.
Yeah. That's why I said obviously, dickbag. But they all arrived at different times. So
yeah, because he's like already a lord in the Japanese shogunate or whatever.
Right. And we saw Harley there, voiced by Tara Strong, which is typically the voice of Harley and a lot of the animated stuff, and Tony Hale, who does the voice of the Joker, who does a pretty good job, actually.
I like the Joker design. It's kind of a nice style of the costume.
Yeah. But you're right. All the landscape shots and the scenery and the vistas, they're actually
gorgeous.
They're really gorgeous.
There's some of the top quality I've really seen in anime. Like there's some beautiful landscapes and some beautiful backgrounds. And that's like a whole art in itself within like anime and animation is like you have animators who focus on those primary characters, but there are a lot of animators and artists within manga who are exclusively working on backgrounds and how much of an art that is in its own right.
Hell yeah. As someone who can draw people pretty well, I can't draw a building for shit.
I think we see that in comics too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Background artists, like people who like someone who'll maybe like do all the main figures but leave the backgrounds to like an inker, an assistant, or like an inker or something.
Yeah, there's been times where I'll be like, hey, inker, can you fill this in for me? Like, because I'll always try to draw something, and then if it just looks like it's just going to ruin everything, I just go, someone help me, please.
That's so funny because I feel like I'm bad at figures, but I'm so much better at backgrounds.
I love your I love your drawings of buildings. Yeah.
Yeah, like I like doing those a lot. They take me forever, but
I imagine they do. Yeah. Alex will sometimes send me pictures that he draws of like these Japanese style of buildings and houses and
temples and
stuff,
like neighborhoods and stuff.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. Like I'm just like my jaw hits the ground. I go, I'm never gonna be able to do that. Like
that's nice of you. And it's so cool because there are so many people who do that style of art too. Mm-hmm. They like exclusively do like Japanese storefront drawings.
Right. Yes.
And there's just so many beautiful like things that I can imitate poorly. You know what I mean? Like, like that's how you learn kind of with that. Look at this background. Another great background.
It's beautiful. The foreground's great too. I mean, it's really nice.
The
busyness of the background and the emptiness of the foreground. It's like I really love contrast. People probably sick of me talking about contrast. But I bring it up a lot when I talk about movies and art and stuff. I'm like, I love contrast.
Well, I feel like that's going to be like a majority of our discussion during this is kind of the art style and
right.
Was that Nightwing?
Yes.
Oh, he's here too. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they were all raiding Arkham Asylum when Gorilla Grodd activated his device, and it basically sucked half of Arkham back in time.
Also, can we address that Gorilla Grodd is the best villain to have in the opener of an anime? Like, he's just gonna fight a giant, like a super strong, super smart gorilla. Yeah, that's pretty anime.
Yes, it is. Yeah, because they could have done like, Bane,
Riddler, Penguin,
Joker,
Mr.
Riddler,
Freeze, Two-Face.
But they threw Grodd in there, which is perfect.
And he's not even really standard Batman villain either.
Nope, he's a Flash villain. Yep. That's always my favorite thing in comics. I don't do it a lot, but it's like when a villain from one comic shows up in another.
Yeah, crosses over.
Yeah, and I love they've done it like Roxy Rocket did it to Superman once. She was like Superman's like, "What are you doing here, little girl?" And she's like, "Well, Batman's missing, so I figured with all the criminals taking over Gotham, I would try my luck here." And he's like, "What do you mean Batman's missing?" But she's like, I'm going out of Gotham. I'm gonna try another city.
And he's like, no, you're not. I'm Superman, miss.
Yeah.
Like,
You
Batman's
maybe
pretty effective, but like, I can hear you from 200 miles away.
and you fly a giant rocket through the sky. Like you're the worst person to come to Metropolis.
Yeah, like you know how much faster I am than you, right? Like,
You know I've beaten up Lobo, right?
you're a light jog for me. You're me hauling to the fridge. Like,
Yeah.
how fast Superman has to go to catch up. You go if someone holds a door for you and you're a little too far away and you feel like you gotta hustle to it.
Right.
That's what Superman's doing to catch her.
Yeah. Sorry, you broke up for a tiny second there, but you're good now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're good. Look at I love these character thing. Penguin.
So Penguin and Poison Ivy.
Yep.
I like that they're doing kind of the intro with the name across too. That's again very kind of anime-esque. Deathstroke.
Yes.
Does he have his 14-year-old girlfriend?
We'll find out next week when we watch the Deathstroke movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Two-Face.
Well, that's a kind of a cool design for Two-Face, giving him like an Oni mask on half of his face.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun. And I think I read an interview with some of these guys, which was in Japanese translated. So I don't know if I'm missing anything in translation, but they had asked, they were like, what notes did you get from Warner Brothers? And it was pretty much, they didn't get a lot of notes. So like anything they choose to do that you're like, oh, that's pretty typical anime. It's because this studio who made this is an anime studio. So they were just like, well, what are we normally doing? What do we normally see in anime right now? So I kind of like that they got some notes, but it wasn't like that was probably just an idea. They were like, oh, let's just do it. Let's just
throw it in there. Like, we think this will look cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool that they let him be a little more free reign than trying to rule by committee or whatever.
I mean, I think if you're going to do something like this and you try to like have your hands fully on the wheel, like both hands on the wheel, I think that's where you lead to something that's really awful.
Well, you're right. I agree with that. Because I mean,
you're hiring them who know how to make anime to make an anime Batman. So you kind of want to be like, all right, I'll check in on you, but you kind of, the reason you're hiring them is because you have trust, right?
It's almost like a heart surgeon trying to micromanage a brain surgeon, where you're like, I get it, you know something, but you don't know this exactly.
Right. Yeah, the heart and brain are different.
Yeah, you're both doctors, and you're both surgeons, but like, come on, you're cutting open chests and he cuts open heads, and they're both important, but I mean, I'm not going to let the heart guy work my brain, and I'm not going to let the brain guy work on my heart.
Right. I like Friar Wayne here with this.
He's got the weird haircut.
Yeah, and they for some reason still drew the bat on top of his head, so you know it's Bruce Wayne. It's like
it looks almost like a yarmulke.
Yes, it does. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he looks like a flyer.
I felt like that. That looks awkward.
It does. Yeah. No, I'm not.
And what is Alfred doing? Like every 3 days, like just straight razoring that bat into his head. The thing is,
Alfred's the only one who isn't appropriating anyone's culture.
He's like, I'm wearing a suit, guys. Like, I don't care if I have to wash it every day. Like, no.
Yeah, I hope he washes it every day.
What is it? The bat symbol on his head just looks so awkward.
Yeah, I don't even know why he would cut his hair like that. I understand you want to fit in, but he's a white guy.
Yeah, like how does shaving a bat into your head make you fit in? Like,
right. And Catwoman dressing like that isn't going to make people think she's Japanese.
Just
the Kyle's like not Japanese at all.
Yeah, she's
actually,
like, let me walk around with my cat puppet and my like brown hair and
I
my
think-
big blue eyes.
right. I think in year one, actually, in Frank Miller's version, I think Selena Kyle was black.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Then like immediately after they changed that, like, because obviously pre-crisis she was white, but I think that was Frank Miller's way of going like, oh, let's update the character. And I'm pretty sure she's got short hair and yeah, I think she was meant to be black. I could be wrong, but that's how I remember year one.
I really like this Harley, or not Harley, but Catwoman kind of costume. That looked pretty cool. What was just on the screen. Oh, this Batmobile looks pretty cool.
I mean, you could, back in feudal Japan, you could rule the world with that car.
Oh yeah.
There's so much tech in it. But I like this. It's very like it shows the arrogance of Batman. Like he has Catwoman there, he has Alfred. They talk about Nightwing and Red Hood and Damian or Tim being somewhere locked in his timeline, and he's just like, I'm gonna go get Joker. It's like he's got a one-track mind, and that's what I kind of like, is that's his character flaw for this, and they'll flesh that out as the story progresses, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
What is when you got into anime, like you said, because I worked at a Suncoast Video.
There's still a Suncoast Video in my town.
Is there
like
really?
There's a mall that has a Suncoast Video in it.
Oh,
and they have tons of anime and great, like I go there all the time and look at their clearance martial art movies.
Right.
Because sometimes I'll get like a Lone Wolf and Cub DVD that's out of print for like, I don't know, like $10.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they get some good deals sometimes.
Alex and I talk a lot about Lone Wolf and Cub sometimes because
I love those movies.
Yeah, but there's a trope that goes around in a lot of American movies where they basically just take that formula.
I mean,
which is an old formula too. But it's like, it's funny because the first thing Alex and I think of, we're like, oh, Logan, Lone Wolf and Cub, and then we'll we'll mention something else. We're like Lone Wolf and Cub.
Like Mandalorian is Lone Wolf and Cub.
Yeah, we said that about Mandalorian too. Yeah. And it's not as a negative. It's just like, we love Lone Wolf.
It's a trope, and it's done it can be done well or it can be done poorly. Like I think they tried to do kind of a Lone Wolf, but like you said, I forgot what was the one you just said?
Oh, Logan?
Logan, yeah. Like Logan does it really well, that kind of Lone Wolf and Cub, even though she's a little bit of a deadlier cub than most cubs.
Well, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, the cub becomes a wolf pretty quickly.
Yeah. Cub kind of murders a little bit more than the Lone Wolf.
Yeah. Well, like Logan has a little bit of Lone Wolf and Cub. It also reminds me a little bit of The Professional. Although The Professional, Natalie Portman's character isn't a killer at first, but she wants to become one.
Okay.
But I love that movie. If you've never seen it, it's really good. Yeah. But yeah, this is right up your alley too. Like the arms that grew out of the side of the temple.
Oh yeah, it's like kind of
giant robot arms. Yeah. But for anime, for me, when I was a kid, it was definitely like Macross was kind of starting and kind of creeping its way to the US, but not really. Then in like the late 80s, early 90s, Transformers obviously had a very Japanese look to a lot of it. Even more so with the later series, which was like Headmasters. But then like in the late 80s, early 90s, we started getting things like Akira and
is there something that stands out in your head as like the anime from your childhood that you're like, oh, this really cemented my love of anime?
See, it's hard to say because, of course, I don't have the memories. Like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
for the most part, but I feel like Vampire Hunter D left an impression on me, and certainly Akira. And the only reason I know Akira did is because the reason I love. Oh, here's Bane, by the way.
Oh, a sumo Bane.
He's a sumo. Yeah,
that's probably what I expect.
and he's all of a sudden talking Japanese. I'm like, Bane's like Hispanic.
Yeah. He's probably the one that fits in best to Japanese society.
I mean, I feel like Bane can be fluid. Like it's like, I don't feel like race defines a character. So anytime they change a race or a gender of a character, I'm like, well, those aren't the things that define the character for me. So I'm always up to at least try out the new interpretation. But yeah, this Bane where he's a sumo wrestler, I'm like, okay, for the context of this movie, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's super fun. But I love that the Batmobile turned into a robot.
Yeah, a giant mecha suit.
I mean, yeah, why not? That's the thing about, so this is what I like about this movie. Oh, so Akira, the reason I know that, to tie it back to Batman, the reason I know that must have had an impact on me that even survived an aneurysm rupture is because the first thing I thought of when I watched Batman Beyond post aneurysm was, holy shit, this is like Akira. And it's true. If you go back and listen to any of the commentaries of any of the Batman Beyond stuff or read any interviews, they all say Akira.
Like, oh, this is Akira was our big influence.
For Neo Gotham, yeah, he was like pretty much, we just ripped off Akira.
It's very interesting.
There's actually, if we ever watch Batman Return of the Joker one day, there are scenes in it that are shot for shot scenes that are just lifted right out of Akira.
Oh, really?
Yep.
It's like how The Raid or how Judge Dredd, that Dredd movie, well, it's great, is basically The Raid.
It's not that. I mean, this is like literally an homage. Like there's a scene where like a satellite shoots a beam down on Gotham and it's chasing the Batmobile and it's shot for shot just mimicking the scene in Akira.
Oh, okay. So it is more like you're saying an homage.
That's it. Yeah, it's just that.
I think the anime that kind of cemented my love was one called Outlaw Star. Did you ever watch that?
I know of it. I definitely know of it, but I don't think if I've seen it, it was pre-aneurysm. I haven't rewatched it.
If anyone wanted to watch it, I think it's on Hulu right now. But it's basically, I think, like if you like Cowboy Bebop, it's in that same vein. It's a space western, and that's a genre I really, really enjoy. And I think it's a very well done space western. I think it's got a good balance of the kind of schlocky, shticky anime of the time sort of hallmarks that people really like, but it also has a lot of the in-depth, more introspective stuff that I think makes something like Cowboy Bebop stand out over time, or some, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, Outlaw Star, like I said, never rewatched it. I am a big fan of Cowboy Bebop. But a lot of the anime I watched when I was younger was not series. They were like OVAs, I guess. Yeah, they were like one-off movies. So like Macross Plus is a big favorite of mine. I really love that. Actually, I love that anime so much that Soul Star opens with the same opening as that. Right when you start.
What was the Macross opening?
Macross Plus opens and it says dedicated to all pioneers. And when you open the first page of Soul Star, that's what it says, dedicated
to all pioneers.
Yep. So there's, I actually have a lot of anime influence. I just don't like, considering I love Transformers, I just don't like kaiju and giant robot stuff most of the time. But
it's so weird.
It's so, some people find that, I know, they're like, you like Transformers, and I like what's that one? It was called like the Big O.
The Big O. I remember that. I have a Big O action figure in my room.
Nice. I love that. I love that anime.
I have a whole mecha shelf it has Gundam and Evangelion and it has a Big O on there.
I like your guy behind you there too.
Oh, my Manzinger.
Manzinger, yeah, behind you,
Manzinger. Yeah. It's got my Puminati patch on him.
Yeah, that's what I thought that was. Yeah. Yeah, I had one of my Venom toys holding that for a long time. My Puminati thing.
I love putting it there. I'm just like, yeah, like Puminati giant robot. That's what we need.
Hell yeah. So here's the team so far, but they did say like that Red Hood and Damian are in this time as well. So we'll get so they have all the Robins in here. No Batgirl, but I guess they had Catwoman. So
that's a bum. I would have loved to see like a Batgirl and Damien's hair. Oh my god!
I know. I know. It's funny. I'm like, who do you think you're fitting in with? Like, you look at your costume.
Yeah, like you're wearing a mask.
You're wearing the Robin costume.
There are knives attached to your wrist, sir.
Batman has the worst case of swamp ass right now.
Oh yeah, he's like wearing this big. They all do because they're wearing these leather suits. They're wiping with leaves.
Tea leaves.
Yeah,
Yeah. They're softer.
I would hope so.
Alfred must be loving the. That would actually have been a cool scene if Alfred just sitting there making tea from leaves. Like he's because him being an Englishman, he probably is like, wow, this
Oh
is.
yeah, that would be a cool scene to
Yeah.
like that would be a fun subplot, like a D story for Alfred,
Right.
where he's just looking for tea leaves, looking to make tea.
Yeah. Just passing the time, just perfecting the cup of tea.
And you could have had the thing like he makes a cup of tea before the Joker goons attack.
Yeah.
Destroyed before you can drink it, and stuff like that. Like you could definitely have an Alfred tea thing. That's a funny contrast you could have between like British and Japanese as the love of tea or the cultural significance of tea.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you could have Alfred meet a nice lady back in this time period. And
he meets like a tea, like a woman who runs a tea room or something, or does tea ceremonies, and Alfred falls in love. We should have written this movie, see.
Now I want to write a time-traveling feudal Japan Alfred story where he falls in love with a tea maiden.
We don't need any Batman in there. It's Alfred as a young 20-something before he's even decided to work as a butler.
Okay.
It's him on a kind of Rumspringa type of thing, and he ends up in feudal Japan.
Alfred's not Amish.
I know, but it's like, I mean, he's taking a break. I always assumed that like Alfred's parents like worked for the Waynes, and he's like a generational servant job, and he gets like a year off to like decide if he wants to be a servant of the Waynes. So it is, in my eyes, it's a Rumspringa.
Okay, fair enough. It's like a Butler Springer.
Butler Springer, and he ends up in feudal Japan on his Butler Springer.
Yeah,
and he meets a nice tea maiden.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. Yeah, we got to write this. It's a good idea.
It's a great idea. I've always thought
people together.
What? Say that again.
Tea brings people together.
Tea brings people together.
I'm a big fan of tea. Actually, it's good for my head.
I've had 2 cups of it today.
Yeah, lots of caffeine in tea. I like it.
Yep. Less than coffee, though. I'm drinking beer because I need calories. I haven't eaten too much today.
I didn't eat that much today either, to be honest with you. I was going to eat before this, and I was like, no, maybe I'll eat after.
I scarfed something. I'm going to eat something after, too.
Nice. So I like this. Grodd's stuck in a time period where he can't use anything technologically to get himself back home. So he's kind of just chilling out in bathhouses and waiting for Batman to show up to solve everything, get them all back home. Kind of neat. I think that's kind of his thing, I think.
Yeah, that's sort of his MO. And I love it's just like, I'm a giant gorilla in Japan. Like,
yeah,
what's going to happen?
Right. Everyone else is trying to fit in, and Grodd doesn't have any stupid haircut. Like he's like,
I'm a giant gorilla, like that talks. Like,
right. If I shaved a Friar Tuck hairdo on my head, I would just look like a gorilla with a Friar Tuck hairdo.
I could imagine Gorilla Grodd is so smart that he already spoke Japanese before they came here, and he's the one that had to teach everyone Japanese. And he's like in a classroom setting with the Joker and Harley Quinn and Penguin and Two-Face and Poison Ivy, and he's like, Konnichiwa. and he's just having to like teach him like wakarimasu and like all these like phrases.
Yeah, right. Did you say karimasai?
I said like wakarimasen.
Oh, okay. Ninjas. And Batman's already built a bat army.
A bat army.
Yeah, bat army. Ooh. Tara Strong the other day, the voice of Harley here. She's been the voice, I think, since the beginning of the cartoons. And she posted one of those videos the other day on her Instagram or something where, you know, where she wipes the mirror and then it like does a cut. And then like, so her hand goes this way in front of the camera and it cuts. And then she pulls her hand back and then she's in the Harley Quinn outfit and she just goes, put in. And then she wiped again. You know, it's like one of those dumb things.
Okay. Yeah. Those kind of like fun posts. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. But she's like, she does a voice of Harley and she's also like super gorgeous. So you're like, oh wow, you could have played on a live action Harley too.
I haven't seen her or anything.
Yeah, she's a pretty lady. I love, that's I've seen that in anime before where someone gets punched and then their breath fills their mouth and they just go, and there's like saliva comes out everywhere. Yeah. I love that.
It's a nice touch. I like a lot of like the smoke work in this movie.
Yeah.
And even like here, you can kind of see like the lines of the Joker underneath the smoke.
Right.
I think that just looks cool.
That hit was awesome. Joker just cracking his head. Oh.
Oh, they're just standing there.
Yep.
Does this work?
That's my favorite noise Batman makes.
Huh? Who's on this ship? Two-Face.
Yeah. What's up, Harvey?
Wow, Joker was right. He betrayed him literally immediately.
Like immediately.
I love how Joker was like, he's gonna betray you, and Gorilla God's like, oh, I'm definitely not gonna betray you. Oh, by the way, I'm betraying you.
Yeah, that's right. Like, yeah, don't spoil my plan. I'm gonna do that in 10 seconds.
I literally am doing it as you're saying it. Thanks for, like, you yelled surprise before I got in the door. Thanks, Joker.
Right. Ooh. My channel, I don't think permits what you're doing.
I'm not doing anything.
I run a T-rated channel here.
You can smoke cigarettes on T-rated things.
All right.
I mean, this has more of a legal requirement.
Yeah. Well, I was going to talk to you about all that. Oh, that's all right. You be you, Alex.
I try to.
Yeah. That's all right. We got 0 viewers anyway, so it's okay.
If you'll check my contract, it's permitted.
Yeah, no, we scared everyone off last week when I wouldn't answer chat questions.
And now we just get to enjoy a movie together, which is what I love.
And still record it for 2 people that might watch 5 minutes of it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope they enjoy that 5 minutes. I hope this is the 5 minutes they watch. So
that's right. Otherwise,
appreciate that they're only watching 5 minutes.
Yes, right.
If you've started and you're looking down at the timer right now and you've really only been watching 5 minutes, click off. Do something else.
It's all downhill from here. Although
and Star Trek: The Next Generation's on Netflix. What are you doing here?
It's true. Although we are coming up to the part that I was excited to see Alex With,
Oh, the other animation style.
yeah. Oh, they all got their.
I like the lettering. The lettering is cool. Like
Yeah.
it's integrated into the backgrounds, and
Yeah.
like the design of the building. The colors are kind of weird. I'm not a big fan of the colors, but I love the design. Look at that sky. Even like just small frame of the sky against the darkness of the room.
Yeah. Again,
Those
contrast.
beautiful clouds.
Yeah.
I feel like they really have motion in them.
You got contrast from the light to the outside. You got contrast with a big gorilla and a small monkey. Like there's like, it's like all this contrast. It's like really nice. I also like purple is the color of whatever the hell that is that they're all holding. And it's literally not a color used almost anywhere else in this movie so far.
Yeah, it's very unique. It makes it kind of stand out. That's kind of the fun thing you can do with color if you really put a lot of thought and time into it. Is color is a great way to signify importance, to create unity amongst things, to show who is for and against things.
Right. But like you said, yeah, it could be used as a storytelling technique to draw focus to something, or to show its significance too, which is nice. I love that shot where, like a minute ago, we saw where it shows Batman laying down and his mask is there, and then it pulls up, and it's the mask just broken next to him.
It's a good, it's fun when people in animation play with camera techniques like that, where they're doing something that you wouldn't necessarily think is like an animation thing. You'd think like, oh, that's something you do in a traditional film.
Right.
And when you do that, I don't know, I think it's very, very kind of cool that you, one, are thinking about it in an animated setting, but two, also, I don't know, executing it in that way.
Sure.
This is a lot of good POV shots too, because POV shots can be something that hurts a movie or like pulls you out of stuff.
Right. Yeah. True.
And I feel like I've seen a few here, and they do a nice addition to it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I like that too. I mean, it's like because they do them in action scenes and in quiet moments, so there's like a nice blend of both. But I like the weight. Like they didn't just it's not like a 1-2 second clip. It's like they sat there for like 6 seconds on his hand, which is nice. And I like the scene here because this is just like, me, like that's how I am with Batman. I don't find him to be deeply interesting a lot of times. The times I like Batman are usually when he has moments like this where he just goes like, Alfred, am I a dick? Like he did in Batman and Robin. And like now he's with Dick Grayson. He's like, I couldn't even see that I was about to be betrayed. I wasn't ready. Like, what am I doing? I'm like, I sometimes my anger clouds my view of the bigger picture. And I kind of like that. It's like, you're never too old to learn that you're making mistakes.
That's sort of, I think, the classic Batman story. He gets angry and hyper focused. And the White Knight, Sean Murphy's White Knight, again, I reference it a lot because I really like it, but it's also a good example. Batman sort of becomes an anti-hero or almost villain,
right? Because
he becomes angry and hyper focused,
right? Here's some of that I was telling you about before. This whole sequence here I really like it.
It's kind of like watercolory style. It does look really nice.
Yeah, it's real simple. It's like again, it's a direct contrast to the earlier stuff. But what I like is that this is a training exposition montage.
Yeah.
So instead of just having people sitting around in a circle talking and just doing a boring talking scene, they do this and they completely change the style. And
yeah, it almost feels like a visual novel.
Right. Like you're almost looking at the plan written down while they're talking about it.
Yeah, it feels very storyboard-esque, kind of like.
Right. Yeah, it's nice. But this is where I like it's like, so Batman is on this journey of like, yeah, and like you said, I mean, that is a typical story for Batman, but it's actually, believe it or not done that often. Most of the time, Batman is just the guy who knows everything and everyone's
Yeah.
afraid of. And it's like,
it's
he's
hard
boring.
to challenge
Yeah,
Batman in that regard, to give him personal growth moments, because he's so closed off. And
Right.
and that's the thing with like Superman and Batman, is they're basically the ideal optimist and the ideal pessimist.
Right. Yeah.
And they don't really have too much room. Like Superman doesn't have any place to grow. He's the perfect person. He always makes the right decision.
Right.
The same way Batman is sort of the perfect cynic. He always makes the smart choice.
Right. Yeah. That's true. So what do you think of this style?
I really like this. I think this looks really nice. And I love the watercolory backgrounds.
So do you know who that is?
Under the hood? Under the Red Hood?
Yeah.
I wonder who it could be.
Yeah. The scene's great. So you got Jason here, who's just brutally beating the shit out of Joker and Harley, who are begging him to stop. And the reason is because after that last attack, Joker has amnesia.
Oh, really?
Right. So that's the reason they changed the design too, is because now we're seeing the world through an innocent Joker's eyes. So I also like that they did that, where they were like, oh, if we're going to do this scene, we're going to do it in a different animation style because we're doing it through a Joker who doesn't know he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just woke up in this field with no memories from their battle, and they're just like him and Harley are just trying to live a life.
Yeah, this animation kind of style has gotten a lot more interesting as it's gone on too.
Yeah. So Batman reveals to Jason, he's like, yeah, I've known they've been here, but they're not a danger. I'm like, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I love how Batman's like, I'm not going to kill them if they don't need to be killed. He goes, the Joker's only a problem when the Joker does shit.
Right.
If I'm confident the Joker isn't going to get into his shenanigans, like, why would I kill a dude who's just going to be a farmer?
Right. And I like the voice change, the tone in the actor.
So the Joker loses his memory. Does he still know how to speak Japanese?
No, I guess he just defaulted back to English.
Yeah, so you think like he would lose his ability to speak Japanese if he loses like the memory of himself, at least as the Joker.
Yeah.
Does Harley Quinn remember? Does she lose her memory too?
I don't think so, because I think Grodd temporarily went into their mind, and that is it. Because I don't know if it was from the concussion or from the Grodd thing, but I think they're legitimately on the straight and narrow. And I don't know if Harley also is amnesiac, or if she just likes Joker this way and she's just being like, you know what, he's happy and I kind of want to be with him. So I don't remember, unfortunately, but I know I love the scene. Like, I love the style. It's very different. But like I said, when you're looking, when I saw the interview and they said, yeah, we wanted to do the animation different and more innocent looking, because you're seeing this story through an innocent Joker's eyes. And I'm like, that is really cool, actually, that
I really love it. It's so rough and very contrasted to the very sharp CGI,
right.
And it's choppy compared to the like high frame rate.
Right.
and it's definitely like a harken back to a more traditional animation, which I think it just looks so nice. It's watercolor style. I can't get over how beautiful they really make it look, and some of the just beautiful shots they have with it.
Yeah.
Oh, now he remembers who he is?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think they're just playing. I think they were just playing. I can't remember. And I honestly don't remember if he was really had amnesia or not. Like I saw this once when it came out.
Oh, okay. 1 month later.
Yeah, but I think the laughter brought it back out in them because they were sitting there like laughing, like, "Oh, we're happy," and then I think it's just like a muscle memory.
They've never laughed before since they lost their memories.
I guess not hysterically.
Nothing's ever been funny.
Nothing's ever been funny. They don't find each other amusing. Andrew,
they don't bring joy to each other's lives at all.
That's right. Real quickly, Andrew says, "I like the movie for this animation style, but the movie itself was iffy." Yeah, I think Alex feels the same way, and I don't disagree with that either. The movie is okay, but the
Andrew,
animation.
what did you like? Like, I would be interested to hear what elements of it were you kind of like, this doesn't work for me.
He might not be able to tell you all of them because the ending isn't here yet. But
that's true. That we're still like, how much is left? Like 30 minutes, 38 minutes or so.
We're getting there. Bring in the penguins, but yeah, Andrew, if you have any things that stand out to you, let us know, and I'll bring them up on screen here so Alex can see your comments.
I like the mecha stuff. I'll be honest, that's kind of one of the things I like, and I wish there were more of. I wish there was more Poison Ivy. She's kind of got a cool aesthetic.
Oh, cool! I'm glad you like those things, Alex.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe you'll get exactly what you wanted.
Maybe I'll get exactly big mecha robot battles. That's what I want.
I love that you were like, I want more of these two things that in the next 30 minutes you're going to get a lot more of.
Well, okay, good. I'm a good predictor then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, like a Mantis style one.
Yeah, I think what stands out in this for me is hey, there's our cup of tea.
Yeah, there's our cup of tea. Why isn't Alfred drinking it?
He made it. That's why.
Oh, he did make it. I guess that's something.
Yep. And now it's perfect.
Thanks, Alfred. Someone's doing something in this world.
A fine tea, Alfred. You could learn a lesson or two, Damien.
I don't know. I'm interested to see how I end up feeling about this movie, because there's so many elements that I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. There's so many elements where I'm like, it's a little too on the nose for me.
Well, my issue with this movie is that it doesn't.
Such an armory.
It tells a story, but I don't feel like there's really a lot of character in it. Because like Red Hood, like those four there, the four sons of Batman, like, and even Catwoman, they're just kind of there because it's like, hey, we got Robins and Catwoman here, but they don't do too much, and they don't have like a journey through this movie.
They're just involved in the battles.
And I kind of wish, like, as much as it was cool to see the interpretation of all those characters, part of me is kind of wishing, like, oh, I wish Batman just got stuck back in time by himself, and that they told
this is more
Bruce Wayne story, you know?
This more feels like an art project.
Yeah, it just feels like someone just like, hey, what other characters can we squeeze in here?
Yeah, like it looks amazing.
Right. But they have like 8 heroes and like 12 villains. So it's just like no one really gets any focus.
Yeah, no one gets a chance to really shine because it's sort of, look how much we have.
Right. But like on a visual level, that's fine. And that's why I think you, me, and Andrew probably have similar opinions. It's like visually this is great, and it's cool to see like a sumo Bane and a penguin and a mech, and you know, it's cool to see all these things, and that seems like something they're like, hey, let's just throw everything in the kitchen sink in this, because this is probably be our only chance to make this kind of movie.
Yeah.
But at the expense of having
it being inherently ridiculous.
Right, yeah. Right. Like this right here. You literally have a poison ivy robot, which is not needed at all.
Yeah, like all these villains went back in time and had enough engineering prowess to
Right.
create this much industry.
There's the God Gundam, basically.
Yeah, it is the God Gundam. Oh my god, it is.
Or the Devil Gun. Maybe it's the Devil Gundam. I think the Devil Gundam, or maybe it was God. It just had a head and then it had a spine went up to the top.
Yeah, that had like the Gundam body and it was a big snaking thing. It was from the end of G Gundam.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because it was like the Devil Gundam and then the Angel, whatever the like upgraded main character's Gundam was like the Holy Gun. I don't know. It was some powerful Gundam. They're all Gundams.
They are all Gundams. Not sure to begin with what I disliked on the story. It was just that they made it to make it to the animation style without caring. See, look at that. We literally just said that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty much, he's spot on there.
Here's this. He agrees with you. Look.
Yeah, an art project. Yeah, it is an art project. It's a beautiful art project. Like, I like watching this. I'm enjoying watching this. But, like, if I was not talking with you about it, I'd be like, oh, okay, the story's whatever. Like, the story is very whatever.
Yeah, it's forgettable. I mean, I couldn't even tell you earlier if Joker really had amnesia or not.
Yeah. It seems to be summed up in Batman goes back in time, devises a battle, loses battle, regroups, does another battle.
Pretty much it. But this time with like mechs and all this stuff. And
yeah, they did just jam everyone in the movie.
They really did.
Except Batgirl. Why won't they put Batgirl in more DC animated movies for me? Batgirl of Burnside is my favorite. Make her Japanese.
There you go. Make her Japanese.
Make her Japanese.
You have a Japanese Batgirl, right? Cassandra Cain. Is she Japanese? I can't remember what ethnicity she is.
I didn't even know she was a Batgirl.
What? She's the one who couldn't talk. She did sign language.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I remember this.
During No Man's Land. That's when she first showed up. Yeah. I do like the Catwoman design.
Catwoman design's cool. The Batman design's pretty cool. I like Shogunite Batman. They're all wind gliding. And again, it looks cool, but it's ridiculous.
Well, that's the thing is like everything in this, you're like, that's so great. But why?
Yeah. Like everything, if they were all individual sort of things implemented, I'd be like, oh, that's so fun. That's so cool. That's so imaginative. But when they're all together, I'm like, it's all very fun and cool and imaginative, but it's also nonsense.
It is a bunch of nonsense.
They upped the cheesiness 1,000%. Yeah, they did. Yeah. It is a very cheesy. Like he's just spinning another mech robot around, and he's a giant building with arms.
He's just a house with arms. Yeah,
He's a giant like Japanese castle with arms.
But then you look at the background with the mountain; it's like so beautiful, and you almost kind of wish, like, why didn't you guys get locked into the vistas of your backgrounds and just tell like this really, even if it was a little overly romanticized tale of Bruce stuck in feudal Japan. Like, I don't know. I think they, like you said, I feel like someone gave them the keys of the kingdom and they just said, we want to translate every character we can think of. And they're like, well, how are you going to squeeze all these characters together? And like, too late. We already finished.
Yeah, you're right. It would have been cool to see like a Bruce Wayne Pale Rider sort of in Japan. Like he gets stuck in Japan, comes to a small town, and works with them to like liberate it from bandits. Yeah, and that's a real Batman story. Like he has to be resourceful. He has to be a detective. He has to be strategic.
Right.
He has to use like his intellect and his advantage that way to beat a more powerful and outnumbering force. And that would be a cool Batman story. And there could be cool little elements, but that movie wouldn't allow for transforming building robots, mechas.
Not just transforming ones. Oh, it's time to combine and make Voltron.
Oh, they're Voltroning? Oh, okay. So they are.
Can't you tell by the little...
Yeah, now I'm getting it. Now it's coming together. And again,
the stupidity
is so much fun. It's a ton. It's so cool. I love watching this.
Yeah.
But it's a cohesive like story with flow and balance and payoff and setup. Like, what is it? It's just a collection of things that happen.
Yeah, it's not. But it's not here to be that. I mean, that's the one thing is I can't fault the movie for is it knows what it's doing. Like all of this is intentional. I just, but if you came for like story, it's like, well, that's not what we have a story here, but we made this more for the visuals.
Yeah, it's definitely an art style that you built a story around rather than a story you found an art style for.
Yes, right. Yeah, I've always wanted to do an animated movie of Batman that was based off of The Return of Bruce Wayne by Grant Morrison, where the opening is like at the end of a crisis, and Batman goes to kill Darkseid, and he shoots Darkseid, but then Darkseid, before he dies, shoots the Omega beams at Batman, and when the Omega beams hit Batman, they send him back to the caveman era, and then he keeps jumping ahead in time like 500 years or so until he's working his way to the present. And Tim Drake is in present time trying to solve the mystery of where Batman is.
Batman.
Yeah, and he has like Booster Gold and Superman going through time to look for Batman.
That would be a fun one.
And that's pretty neat because as Batman is going through each like decade or whatever generation he's in, he's building up Omega energy. So basically Darkseid's plan, just hitting him isn't what killed Batman. It sent him back in time, but every year he appears in, he's gaining more Omega energy. So when he gets back to the present, he will just go off like a nuke and wipe out the whole world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's neat. It's kind of silly, but it's like, it makes sense in a Grant Morrison kind of way. But I've always wanted to see that translated. I've
always wanted to do a story where Alfred gets Alzheimer's, and it's this slow transition of Bruce trying to balance Batman while also like trying to fill the obligation he feels he has to Alfred and become kind of a caretaker.
I like that, actually. You know me, when we watch Batman and Robin, I love the Bruce Wayne and Alfred scenes in that movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Bruce Wayne and Alfred is a very interesting dynamic because it is very much that surrogate father relationship where Batman, obviously, like Bruce Wayne is obviously, quote unquote, the boss of Alfred.
Sure.
But at the same time, Alfred is that formative mentor in Bruce's life.
True.
Could this have been a live action movie? Seek, what do you think?
No.
I don't think so either.
No, because this hinges on the visuals, and I don't know if I think seeing people in these costumes in real life would feel very offensive.
I also feel like this would end up being like a $500 million Batman movie.
Yeah, that's true too. Bless you, Echo. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
What are you going to say, quote unquote, live action? This is a giant mech robot battle. Like, it's like that would be CGI no matter what.
Well, just this scene would. But I mean, of course, you could. Maybe he means like, what if you took this idea and made it live action?
Yeah, I like if we did what like we were talking about, like Bruce Wayne stuck in feudal Japan, only Bruce Wayne,
right? Yeah, okay.
I think that would work more as a live action movie. This I don't know. I don't think would work as a live action movie at all.
They can a house and a bunch of robots form Voltron, a Joker Voltron, Joltron,
Joker Voltron,
Joketron.
Could you imagine if it was live action and they had these haircuts? Like if you had to watch Ben Affleck with like the bat symbol shaved into the top of his head.
You give him a Friar Tuck hair and he's
give him Friar Tuck hair with like. Could you imagine like him having to go to the like? Because that was the thing with like Hugh Jackman, he would have to go to the store with like the Logan hair, or Johnny Depp would have to go with like the Captain Jack teeth.
Sure.
Could you imagine?
Just wear a ball cap wherever you go.
Yeah, it's just Ben Affleck in a perpetual ball cap.
Well, you can't have. You don't want to get sunburn on your top of your scalp either.
No, that's true.
But I think my issue is it's the visuals. Like I think if you put a bunch of white characters in these costumes, it's going to look really offensive.
Yeah,
it's borderline offensive here, but the animation style makes it forgiving a little bit.
And it also makes it forgiving because it wasn't really US made. Like,
exactly. Right.
It's
So
hard to appropriate from people who are making it.
that's why I feel like Warner Bros. Like, no, do whatever you want.
Yeah, they're like, we have no notes. Like, you made this, we didn't.
Right.
Like,
Nope, they made that decision, not us.
they're like, no, they put Bane as a sumo wrestler. That was their decision.
That was them, not us.
The Japanese studio did that. Yes. Yep, everyone wears kimonos. That was the Japanese studio decided that. The Japanese studio decided that.
Okay.
The monkey is a weird one. That's one I don't get.
Well, that was the one hanging out with Grodd earlier, and it has befriended Damien.
Oh, okay. So it's like, okay, I
it's
guess
literally just for that scene right there, where they fist bump. There's no story.
Does he have like a radar?
He has a radar that can detect monkeys. And he knows exactly, they're not heat signatures. He can tell exactly that they're monkeys.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, people know monkeys specifically.
Yep. I guess they're strong enough to rip through Voltron.
I mean, monkeys are admittedly strong, and that Voltron can't be made out of more than bamboo and chicken wire.
Most of it, anyway. Yeah, I'm curious to see some of the gears in there. I'm like,
yeah. I don't think they have like a sophisticated die cast like manufacturing factory.
Right.
It's
like the insides of a windmill.
Yeah, exactly.
And not like a fancy modern day windmill.
It's like a monkey tornado. Again, I would love to see a monkey tornado in live action.
Yeah. Oh, like, no. God, the amount of time it takes to paint a missile with a smiling face and a purple tuxedo.
Yeah, just to blow it up.
Yeah.
It's like being seen by it's going so fast, no one gets a clear look at it anyway.
You know what would have been a cool character to bring back with you in time in this story is the Toy Man. Because the Toy Man would be just freaking out trying to figure out how to build something in this time.
That would be kind of a fun one. I love how monkeys are saving the day.
Yeah. Yeah, all the heroes are literally just standing there watching monkeys fight.
Oh, shit. We got some monkeys. Like, let the monkeys do it. Like, let's chill. Yeah. Oh, Robin, you got a flute? Control the monkeys with your flute.
Right. No, he's going to leave it with the monkeys.
Why would she forgive Catwoman here? She was also the narrator at the beginning of the movie and has not been the narrator since.
Nope, not at all.
For some reason, it started off with her narrating, and then it was like 4 sentences, and then she was just never narrating again.
I think they just fell in love with that line where they go, "You think you've heard every Batman story? Well, you haven't." And then it was like, "Cool, that's a cool line." And then, oh, nothing else to that? Okay, cool.
It's not even that cool of a line. It's just like trying to brag about how unique you are before showing everyone how unique you are.
I bet you've never read a Batman story where it had monkeys fighting a giant Voltron Joker robot. And it's like, no, you're right, I haven't.
Yeah, it's like,
it's not a good idea.
Like, it sounds fun, but like you're not creating really, really strong Batman canon.
No, but I think that's the interesting thing about this movie is that it is an interpretation, and it is like you said,
burning alive right now.
Yeah, but it's an interpretation, but it's like you said, it's an art project. It's like them just going, we want to do renditions of as many characters as possible.
Oh yeah,
and as long as we don't make an incoherent mess, we've accomplished our job. which it's fine. I mean, this is an easy story to follow. It's just it does kind of just have things that happen for the sake of the plot needing to change course, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems like they could have had a much more interesting story, but I feel like they just built it around like, okay, we want to have these big battles. How do we accomplish these big battle ideas? And that's cool. Like that's a cool way to do this because of how uniquely animated it is.
Right.
But at the same time, like it's important to acknowledge that it's very strong in one area and very weak in another.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think my issue sometimes with this too is when I think about it is like it just feels
hold on. What is this? What the hell?
That's 1940s Batman with the purple glove.
1940s Batman appearing as a giant kaiju against a Joker mecha.
He's made up of bats, I guess, around monkeys.
Made up of bats and monkeys.
Makes sense to me.
And he's apparently fireproof.
But he's not being piloted by Batman.
Anyway, it's just like magical monkeys and magical bats.
Right. It's almost like they got to the end here and they were like,
how do they fight a robot?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they got to the end here and they're like, well, we need Batman to do something, right? And they're like, well, we just have this giant robot one. Like, no, add him into this scene here.
Yeah, have a 1940s Batman.
By the way, Batman and Robin's, all of them just got crushed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, you're punching with them in your fist, like, that contracts. Like, why would you take your precious cargo and ram it against something?
Right. Punch with the other hand, robot. Yeah, I think when I was going to say is like I feel like the filmmakers of this, they were like, hey, it's almost like they were like, what tropes and stereotypes can we put in here? And like I said, if it wasn't made by a Japanese group, I'd probably be like, why did you do that? But they did, and they stuck with it. Whereas like I think of my favorite Batman story as far as like a done by a different, by a manga Batman was called Child of Dreams. And what I liked is it was a story that started in Gotham and a new drug hit the streets of Gotham. And if people took it and OD'd on it, they would literally start acting like Batman villains. And it would like start rewriting parts of their DNA. And then they would die from it. So Batman was constantly wondering, am I fighting the real Joker or a mimic? Am I fighting Two-Face or a mimic? And so he traced the drug back to Japan. And so the first like couple chapters are in Gotham, but then the rest takes place in Japan, and he's trying to figure out this like a Japanese Bruce Wayne, a billionaire business guy, created this drug, and Bruce has to stop him. And I'm like, see, that seems a little anti-cliche to me from a Japanese creator. So like this feels like very cliche to me from a Japanese creator, and so I kind of rail against it on that level.
Then we're back to that animation style for a second.
Yeah. And then boom, transform.
I feel like she remembered the whole time, and like she's not innocent. She just is like, I guess I'll go along with it. She was like,
sure.
She was like,
they try to say like that flower scent did something to them, and then once it like wiped out, they could go back to normal. I'm like, whatever. Like, why put that?
It's such a weird symbolic thing to try to take so literally.
Right.
Maybe that's the issue we're having with this movie. All the art is very symbolic, and we're just thinking of it very literally. But
that's the problem, though, is that it is symbolic, but it presents it very literally.
That's true.
It's like so it's not. And that's not really our fault. Like, they are being extremely literal with a lot of things, but you're right. Yeah. It's also there as a symbolism, but it's like, well, you can't be a symbol and be literal at the same time. But it is somehow. Echo.
We had a sexual line there.
Yes, of course, because I'm sure one pervert worked on this movie.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean,
Bruce Timm came up with that line.
not to be shitty, but it's the comic book industry. It's not full of like the most progressive people always.
Yeah.
We have the comic book industry has its fair share of
Creeps.
terrible people, like any other industry.
Yep. Well, like I've always said, like anytime you get a fandom and a group of people, there's a vulnerability to them, and that appeals to creeps, and they go and they become part of that world, so they can prey on the vulnerable. It happens everywhere.
Well, that's I struggle with this about comic books, because one of the things I like about it is what sort of contributes to its biggest problems, and that's its level of inclusion. Comic books is just a medium, and really use it to their advice. You and I have both been to San Diego Comic-Con. How far away is the Prism LGBT in comics and the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund? How far is that away from the porno books? Like
5 feet.
Yeah, like it's all of that stuff exists. Like you can go over to Dean Eagle and look at all his Playboy drawings and all that stuff. You can go to a lot of the booths that sell the naked pinups, the Frank Cho-esque stuff. You can even find like the heavy hentai stuff.
Yeah.
At any of those conventions, but you can also find like the LGBT community stuff. You can also find like the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund stuff. You can find the mainstream stuff. You can find the independent stuff. And that's the whole point of comics, is that there's so many different voices within it. I'm not going to agree with all of them. And it's, as much as I would love to be like, fuck off, don't exist in my medium, I can't tell that to somebody.
Sure. I mean, I don't actually think about that stuff anymore. Like I see so many people online fighting about who should and shouldn't comics be made for. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I had a friend tell me when I was like 30, he was like, in a few years, you'll probably start growing out of comics anyway. And he goes, and it's not because you don't love them, but it's because you've read them all. And nothing's going to surprise you. And you'll just get bored. Like I am with movies. Like I've been bored with movies for the past 5 or 6 years. So he's like, you're going to get like that with comic books. And he's like, and you'll probably either go on to collect original art if you make enough money to do that, or you'll collect like toys or statues, and you'll still love the characters, but you'll probably just stick to watching the movies and cartoons, where you get translation
stuff you are like love.
Yeah. And you'll probably lean away from comics. And that friend was 100% right. That's exactly what's happening to me. So when people fight over who should read comics, I'm like, I'm getting too old for it anyway. Like I was surprised that like those Batman and Superman comics that are coming out excited me for DC Comics. I'm like really jazzed to read a DC comic again.
Yeah, you're like, those sound cool. Like, I don't know. I think comics is just such a diverse medium that you can always find something that's going to at least pique your interest. That's why I like Image so much, because it's such a weird, like diverse sort of span of books. They don't really have a genre beyond. It's people usually trying to do pretty quality storytelling.
Yeah, it's a lot of people essentially just writing their screenplays and teleplays and making them comics, which I don't really like. Yeah, I don't like that too much, but there are people that are genuinely just trying to tell comic book stories, which is good. Yeah, which is really good.
Like you can look at, I don't know, as much as I'm not a big fan of this book, like The Wicked and the Divine. Mm-hmm. That's not really set up to be a TV show or movie. It wouldn't really translate as easily. Or like Sex Criminals. That can't be something. Like you couldn't put out a TV show on ABC called Sex Criminals and those be the heroes of the story.
True. Real quick, what do you think of this fight? Because this is one of those things where I'm like, of course, if you have Joker, you want it to come down to a Batman-Joker battle, but a Batman-Joker sword fight just seems odd to me.
I think it's lackluster compared to the other fights in the movie.
Yeah, because to me, I'm like, well, you have Deathstroke in this timeline. Why wasn't he just the main villain and Batman had to sword fight him? And then maybe Joker could have been in the background somewhere and he was the mental thing Batman had to beat.
Because you could have Joker had some sort of other objective that he was doing.
Right, right. And then maybe you had like Batman and Ra's al Ghul sword fighting right now or something.
Yeah, like you could have like a Deathstroke Batman fight. You could have done it like an homage. I'm not sure they would have liked. I don't know, like a Game of Death sort of thing where he has to like go level by level.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
like, oh, now he's got to beat Harley Quinn, and now he's got to beat Two-Face, and now he's got to
Sure.
beat Deathstroke and
Sure.
Poison Ivy, and he goes through all the individual villains.
That could have been something. Could Onimusha is like that, the video game,
Yeah,
where there's like a tower and you just like fight your way up the tower.
I always like tower stories. Tower stories, I think, are fun.
Well, single location stories like Die Hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I for some reason I always like tower climbing stories.
yeah.
Stories about literally climbing a tower. It's about why I like The Raid and why I like Dread so much.
This movie, I remember when I saw the trailer for it, I actually didn't know it was about a Batman that went back in time. I thought they were just doing like, oh, what if Batman existed?
Existed.
Yeah, and
like
I was like
a Red Sun Japan Batman sort of thing.
Yeah, like an Elseworlds. And I got really into that idea. But then when I saw that it was like a Batman who went back in time, that's I think what my disconnect is with this movie. I'm like, I just thought this was going to be like Japanese versions of all these characters.
Elseworlds would have been a better way to kind of do it. You're right.
I think so. Because I think you would buy into it a little bit more.
Yeah. I think you would just, yeah, like you're saying, get into it a bit more, being like, oh, this makes I don't know, more sense. You can suspend a little more disbelief because it's not Bruce Wayne.
Right, right.
And there's really no reason for it to be Bruce Wayne.
Because there's not a specific Bruce Wayne arc for the character that you couldn't have done with just a different version of the character. Like if you made this if they changed his name from Bruce Wayne to something else that was Japanese, it's the story arc isn't changed. But maybe if he was newer, you could have added a story arc because in this it's like there's nothing changes for these characters really.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
all these characters are the exact same at the beginning, it seems, as they were, or at the end as they were at the beginning.
Right, and
like
then
Catwoman even betrays Batman, and Batman's like whatever about it.
Right. But like this, where he's just exploding into bats and can fly, it's like, well, if he was just a Japanese guy who we didn't know what his powers were, this would just be more interesting. Because right now you're just like, what's happening?
Why is Batman doing Naruto hands?
Right. Why is he doing this? Who taught him this?
Ninja You're like, Batman. Where did any of this come from? Like, if it was just a guy who was like figuring it out, it would be a little more earned.
Because if this was a Bruce Wayne story, he comes back in time. Maybe he finds someone who trains him in like feudal Japanese sword fighting in a different style. And he actually brings that back to Gotham with him. And he's like, oh, now I'm a better fighter because I learned from like the best. And I learned how to make steel from one of the best. So now I can upgrade my equipment in the future. So there's like something he takes back with him.
Like he learns how to like make the best sword. So when he comes back to Gotham, he's not only like a ninja, but when someone like tries to hit, like he's fighting Deathstroke and he's just breaking Deathstroke's swords. Right, and Deathstroke's like, what the hell? These are $10,000 swords.
You go missing for 3 months and you come back and you can just cut through my blades now? What the hell, dude?
Like, what is this? And like Batman like cuts through tanks or something. I don't know. Yeah. You could just make it like really cool.
I agree.
Sort of the transition back to Gotham. I think this movie is more visually interesting than what we would come up with, but I think we would come up with a better story.
No, you're right. There's so many visuals in this. I'm like, they're gorgeous. I could never come up with half this stuff. More than half, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no way. So I don't want to sound like I'm ripping on this movie. Like I appreciate what it is. I appreciate for what it is. But me, I'm a story guy. So like when there's no character arcs or reasons for characters to be places other than just a visual spin on them, I'm just kind of I disconnect.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I think doing it in a podcast format like this works a lot better for us, at least.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so too.
Just because it's more entertaining, because you don't get bored with the story.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be a bigger row of ninjas. I was like, oh, there's like 40 people.
Oh yeah,
There's going to be like a line, like a procession of like thousands of ninjas.
right.
I don't get the time travel in this at all. I don't understand the mechanics of it.
Yeah,
They
so
apparently
I guess
needed to collect the things that all the other villains had to make the time travel device work.
yeah, it was those like those 5 like purple jars.
Yeah,
That was the power source, I guess, of the time machine. And they just got separated when they went back in time, and then boom, that's it. They go back, they step through, and you're just like, oh, okay.
it's a short movie. It's less than 90 minutes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it makes sense if you're having this like high level animation. Every shot's a little more expensive.
Right.
They do pack it in, but who do you think was the best design, like in the Japanese style?
I mean, I'm with you. I kind of like the mask on Two-Face, the half mask, the Oni mask. I thought that was pretty neat. It's hard to say because I don't dislike the armor Batman had at the end. It's a cool look for a Batman design. Like I said, if it was an Elseworlds, I'd like it more. I guess I would go with Two-Face, although I really did like Catwoman's design.
Yeah, I would. I'm kind of tied between Catwoman is up there, Two-Face is up there, Red Hood is up there.
Yeah, I like the thing on Red Hood, the big tower.
Yeah, because I don't know what that's called. I wish I did.
Yeah, I don't know the name of it.
But Afro Samurai and Afro Samurai wears that as well.
Right.
Another great. It's an anime, so it's not maybe fully considered so, but I would consider it an anime, Afro Samurai.
Yeah. Yeah, she stole some like rare vase with where you threw the banana in earlier.
I like that she rides a motorcycle too.
That's my favorite. Oh, there's nothing hotter.
It's a very Catwoman-y thing.
Yeah.
She's a cat burglar. She's a street kid. Like her being in a motorcycle makes sense because she's constantly trying to be the quickest, most agile thing imaginable, and a motorcycle is the quickest, most agile vehicle.
I think you missed her license plate. It said 9 lives.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cute. That's a good.
There's this new Batmobile, I guess.
Again, it makes no sense. Like, why would he build that?
I guess it came back with them when they teleported.
Oh, okay, teleported with them.
Yeah, so like, well, the Batmobile got destroyed in the past, so this is going to be our ride home.
A ride home. Let's take this.
Yeah, this thing that apparently Alfred made while between making teacups.
Could you imagine reading this script without seeing the storyboards to go along with it or any visual art? You'd be like, what are you talking about?
Well, the screenwriter is Japanese, so it's like
well, I mean, I'm looking at these names and it seems like rendering artists, animators, like second animators, in-betweeners, color designer, color coordinators, paint checking, digital painting.
I agree with what you said earlier, which is I think this movie started with visuals and then came the story. So I don't know if it went the other way. There's no, because like you said, if you just read the script, you'd be like, what? So I'm thinking they showed the writer a bunch of storyboards and a bunch of designs, and they were like, make this a thing.
Isn't that the Marvel method? Draw it first and then fill in the word bubbles.
I mean, that's not uncommon in animation to start with drawings. That's
how Hayao Miyazaki works, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Which God, you know me, I'm a huge fan.
He doesn't know where his movies are going when he starts working on them, and he has his staff start. He's like, "I'll figure it out. Don't worry."
Well, I mean, when you're a master,
yeah. When you're Hayao, could you imagine like someone just coming up to being like, "I'm gonna make a movie. Give me $20 million. Where's your screenplay? I'll figure that out later.
Figure it out.
Just let me start working on it." let me hire some actors, and you're like, wait, you don't have any idea I got an idea. It's in here. And that's what Hayao Miyazaki does. He's like, I got an idea. Someone give me $20 million.
Yeah, but he didn't. That wasn't his first movie. Didn't go that way. I'm sure.
No, his first movie probably didn't go that way.
Yeah,
his first movie was Lupin the Third. Actually, that was the first movie he directed.
Yeah. No, yeah, he starts off the way most of us start off, but because of years of success, yeah, he probably does now. He's just like, because I think George Lucas did that with the Star Wars prequels. He was like, I got it.
Shows.
Oh, I know it shows, but he's like, I got it. And I think there's a documentary or someone put it out there where he brought the script in, like after they cast a lot of the roles and stuff, they're like, all right, we got to do a table read, George. Like, we need the scripts. And he's like, all right, fine. The scripts are finally done. It was like 3 weeks before they started filming. You're like, what the hell? Yeah. For Phantom Menace. Yeah. So
I don't know.
Could you imagine getting those scripts and being like, oh shit, I signed up for
a contract? Like, fuck. Yeah. Like, this sucks.
But that's the thing is, like, I think a lot of times there's this misconception a lot of times that movies all follow a process of, oh, a writer comes up with an idea and then it goes to a studio. And it's like, no, that's not true a lot of times, especially with franchises like Sony owning Spider-Man. They're going to say, hey, we want to make
a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, we need a Ghostbusters movie. We need this movie. And then they go find people to make it. And they'll start with artists. They'll usually be like, because they have staff people that do that. And they'll be like, hey, draw us some concept art for a Ghostbusters. And then they do. And they go, you know what? We want all females. Amy Pascal wants all females. So then someone has to draw 4 females. And they go, okay, give that to a writer. And and then I think that movie even was just done over emails. I think Amy Pascal and Paul Feig were just like emailing each other, and they were like, yeah, we should make an female ghost. It was literally just spawned in emails. And then that led to them creating Ghost Corps and like all these like, they built a whole production building for all these people. They employed like 200 people. They got a writer to come in and do the script, and they put the cart way before the horse.
And everyone hated that movie.
Yeah. And I still never even seen it, but it's like,
I haven't either.
And I have nothing against it. Like I'm not a diehard Ghostbuster fan, so it's like, to me, it's not like they're like ruining some masterpiece. Like I like Ghostbusters; it's a great movie, but
what makes Ghostbusters cool is that you just have a lot like having Bill Murray in kind of a supernatural comedy is just a funny. It's just a funny premise, like. It's just set up to be successful because of the people in it, and it's just a timeless kind of movie. And it's hard to capture that timelessness like in modern era. That's my problem with like a lot of sequels or a lot of reboots or stuff where I'm like, you're trying to capture something that was very spontaneous and in the moment. Like Predator wasn't successful because it was a franchise and that's where they thought it was going to go. Predator was successful because it was kind of like, we're going to have a monster hunt some military guys. And that seems like a cool premise.
Right. Yeah. Well, to counter your Ghostbusters thing is that wasn't written as a comedy. That was written because what's his name? The guy who plays I can't remember. I can't remember his name. Dan Aykroyd. He's like really believes in ghosts.
Really?
So he wrote something that was like more technical about ghost hunting. And then that was brought to people and people were like, this seems boring. Whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. It seems boring. So when they brought in other actors, yeah, there was some ad-libbing and there was some spontaneity and there was decision-making and compromising. And it ended up being something that was more of a comedy. But what that movie does really well, I feel, is contrast, because which I always go back to, which is they treat ghost hunting as a 9-to-5 job, like being a fireman or like a policeman. And that is what's cool about that, is that it's just 4 schlubs who are like, oh, we're just, instead of being firemen or policemen, we're going to hunt ghosts with just ridiculous technology. And I think that's the kind of thing that makes that stuff work. So I think you can repeat that stuff, but you just got to know what makes it work to do it. And I think a lot of times people just see the name and just go like, oh, that's what makes it special, is the name. And it's like, but it's not, it's more than that. Actually, this is a great thing right here. Eddie says, Dan Aykroyd, full-blown tinfoil hat wearer.
Is he? I had no idea.
He's a nutty dude. You should see him in interviews. He's like a real, he seems like a real wacky guy. He seems nice,
that's
but he just seems
disappointing.
wacky.
It's
Yeah.
like, have you ever seen that clip of the flat Earth guy who goes up to Buzz Aldrin?
Oh no, because I can't. There's no way I can bring myself to watch that because, yeah.
Oh no,
someone
you
that.
could.
No, I cannot. I cannot because the amount of disrespect, like I get really uncomfortable when I see people talking to someone who literally stepped on the moon and say, "You weren't on the moon" or something like that, or the Earth is flat, or what. It's like
He
I
walks
cannot
up
watch
to him.
it. I cannot watch it.
It's so great because he walks up to him and he goes, "You're a fraud. You're like a coward." And Buzz Aldrin just pops him. Just starts punching him like right in the face. Just rocks him hard. Like old Buzz Aldrin too.
I could watch that part, but I can't watch it. It's like me, like the third Transformers movie has this line that makes me want to scream. You know the line, I think, where it's not Buzz Aldrin, but oh my god, why am I blanking on all these like people's names? But one of the guys who went to the moon. I'm so sorry. Let me because I'm gonna ruin this. I can't believe I have to Google this because I remember Buzz's name, but I can't. I think maybe it was Buzz. John Glenn. It wasn't John.
What are you trying to figure out?
Neil
Armstrong?
Like, no, I know. The other... no, it's not John Glenn. Yeah, I want to. I can't remember. I think it's Buzz. I can't remember either Buzz or Neil. I think it's Buzz. Was in Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon.
And I'm pretty sure it's Buzz Aldrin.
I'm thinking it's Buzz. Yeah, I think it's Buzz. So I think Buzz went up to Optimus Prime in that movie and goes, "Oh, wow, it's so nice to meet a fellow space traveler." And I go, "What the fuck are you doing, Buzz Aldrin?" Like, Optimus Prime's not real. Like, you're talking to a tennis ball. Like, who got him to say that line in that movie? That's so disrespectful. Optimus Prime I love Optimus Prime, but he didn't walk on the moon like Buzz Aldrin did. So that's so frustrating to me. When I watch that movie, I get to that scene and I just go, God, I start like pulling my skin. I'm like, why? Why would Michael Bay have a real space traveling hero talk to a fictional character like they were also a space traveling hero? It's just ridiculous. It gets me so mad.
Have you ever heard of the Crystal Skull vodka that Dan Aykroyd has?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, Red Letter Media does, when they review the Ghostbusters movie,
they have it.
They drink it in that episode, right?
Yeah. I remember that now. Is it like, my guess is a bunch of dead presidents got him to say that line.
I mean, yes, we know the real reason. I just don't know why that was the line. You could have him say anything else, like anything else. Well, why pay respect to Optimus Prime like that? And that's coming from like a hardcore Transformer fan, but the amount of disrespect is just unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
I'm sure Buzz Aldrin's just like, put me in movies. I don't care.
I mean, I'm sure he didn't give a shit.
I'll go on set. How many PAs can I have?
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever.
I'm sure he just sits around collecting PAs to tell the story of how he walked on the moon.
Collecting PAs? We're not trading cards.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you kind of are.
Oh my God. We're trading cards that know how to take out trash and get coffee wrong every time, apparently.
Yep, every time.
Every time. I don't think I've ever gotten a cup of coffee for someone where they were like, delicious. I'm sated. Your work here is done. Run along. Never had that experience. This Crystal Skull vodka. Yeah, Red Letter Media they do a thing where actually Mike actually gets drunk on it in that episode because they mix it with the Ecto Cooler, the green Ecto Cooler.
Oh yeah, I remember the Ecto Cooler.
Yeah, they like mix the vodka and the Ecto Cooler, and they name it something.
Kevin had that the first time we played Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Watch John Tron's video on Crystal Skull vodka. Okay, sweet. hysterical. Did I miss the Street Shark portion? You son of a bitch. Fuck you, Eddie.
Are we talking about Street Sharks? We can talk about Street Sharks and Biker Mice from Mars.
Don't get him started. So earlier, Skullman showed up in my stream and asked me a Transformer question when I was doing a Spawn stream, just like he did last week when we were doing the DC episode, and he asked me a Transformer question. So I go, look, don't do that. Like if we do it at the end of these streams, I'm a little bit more okay with that, where we can just kind of shoot the shit. But when DC, like I said, the animated people, they still send me stuff. I'm on their press list, and I'll try to cover it at the beginning of the show. Like we covered some DC news today, then we watched the Mortal Kombat trailer, then we did the movie. So I want, if someone from Warner Brothers is watching, I want them to only get Warner Brothers content, so I like to keep things like that. So yeah, so Eddie saw that I was perturbed and was like, well, tell me who your favorite Street Shark is. And I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Who were all the Street Sharks again? I remember watching that show as a kid.
Why are you encouraging this?
I want to talk about Street Sharks. I want to talk about Street Sharks, and I want to talk about Biker Mice from Mars, because I feel like those are like two shows that go hand in hand. And I think Eddie will agree with me that he thinks Biker Mice from Mars and Street Sharks are a good double feature Saturday morning cartoon combo.
I don't know either of those two shows very well. I know the concept of Street Sharks, but if I watched it growing up, I have zero memory of it.
I remember renting it like every other weekend from Hollywood Video, and the other weekend I would rent Biker Mice from Mars.
So we have Streaks, Big Slammin', Ripster, and Jab.
I think Ripster was my favorite.
That's awesome. Someone made a Street Sharks. What if Street Sharks was live action? That's not going to work.
Could you show it on our screen?
No. Well, maybe. Yeah. Let me figure that out. I'll let you read. Eddie's laughing his ass off. Thanks to you.
I think he agrees with me. That Street Sharks and Biker Mice from Mars are a good Saturday morning cartoon combo. That's what you want to eat your Captain Crunch and watch.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. You do 2 episodes of each. And then you watch Star Trek The Next Generation for the rest of the day. The perfect Saturday, Seek.
Is it?
It is. Nothing is better.
Oh my God. The headline of this article is literally Jawsome artwork.
Jawsome artwork. It's puns. Great.
Jawsome.
We're already off to a great start.
Jawsome artwork that shows how live action Street Sharks movie could be made.
Oh my God.
So hold on, let me enhance. I gotta get that clip for the show. Here you can read Eddie's comment here while I'm looking this up.
Barnyard Commandos. I don't remember Barnyard Commandos. Biker Mice. I just was able to get VHS tapes from that does look cool. I would watch that. I would watch that in a heartbeat, especially if it was on Sci-Fi TV at 11 p.m.
Yeah, I'm gonna do big screen. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's pretty cool looking. It's good artwork.
Yeah, I would watch that movie. I would watch a movie about shark people fighting on the streets.
Nice. Toy Galaxy YouTube channel, shout out to them, covers all those shows and toys you forgot about. I don't know anything of what you guys are talking about at all.
I don't know how you don't know either of those shows, see. Like they're prime 80s cartoons. I feel like if you watch Transformers, I don't know how these slipped under your radar.
Well, Transformers are awesome.
Well, they are awesome, but so are Biker Mice from Mars, and so are Street Sharks. And apparently Barnyard Commandos as well, according to Eddie.
I think if you can't survive a brain that's been through a memory, can't squeeze by a brain aneurysm.
I drink enough beers and I keep forgetting that.
Everyone forgets that. And here's why. I don't blame people. I quite often make references to things that I don't really remember. that's the biggest thing, is like I know of things, like I have a knowledge of things, I just don't have the emotional memory attachment to them. Like I said, I had said this on Harmontown, like post aneurysm, I didn't remember my own name, but I remembered Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So there's like a rift there. It's like real memories and just knowledge of things. So sometimes I can understand the knowledge of things. I just don't understand my emotional connection to them, which would make them a memory.
No, I get that. I get you.
Transformers, I remembered Transformers, but I had to rewatch it, and I rewatched it and fell in love with it. So it's like that's kind of the thing. It's like I've watched, especially my first year out of the aneurysm, like I watched a lot of shit that year. People were like my mom's like, you were a Transformer fan, you liked this, you liked Ghost Rider, you liked, you know, and I had stuff, like I collected stuff. So it's going through bins and looking at them, and you know, and so like I fell in love with a lot of it a second time. So I get it. It's easy to go like, remember this Seek? It's like, well, I know what it is.
I know of it.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, they were 90s, by the way. I didn't
90s?
think they were, because when you said 80s, that's why I took a minute, because I'm like, well, I don't remember what year they came out in, but they didn't feel like 80s cartoons. 90s, the cartoons I watched in the 90s were Batman and Spider-Man and X-Men. Like,
wow, you were a jock.
Yeah, I was a big bully.
Dating the cheerleader.
Those are, yeah. Yeah. I think I got a swirly from a cheerleader once. I only remember bits and pieces of useless information. See, there you go. I mean, I know we're all like that. I mean, that's why I don't feel so alone. I used to bother me when I didn't remember stuff, but now I meet people all the time who have full brains and they don't remember shit sometimes. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel so bad, actually.
Yeah, what happened to your brain? People are slowly doing to themselves with social media.
Well, I mean, I let it poison me too. You know, so yeah, people see me all the time. I'm either telling them how sick I am, showing off a toy that I can't afford that my mom or someone got me. I'm thanking you for like helping me out, you know, with like a bill or something, or I'm complaining about how social media sucks. Like those are like my four wheels that drive me through social media.
I don't know if I've posted anything on Instagram since like, I don't know, like October.
I know, because tonight I was like, Alex, I sent the link for the show on Instagram, and he was like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I have to find that. I have to log in.
I heard it in that voice too. Like you were like, all right. Like, why?
I was so confused. I was like, that's such a weird way to send that, but it's fine. You could have just texted it, I guess.
Yeah, I love this. Eddie says, I'm a part-time psychologist on YouTube. I do. Sometimes I get in these into these like zones where I like rant about like how I think everything's ruining everything. And I just go down this spiral of like how I see this. The thing is, I see brainwashing happening. Like I that's what I see. I see like this. I just see brainwashing, and it's like, and some people will be like, oh, you got a tinfoil hat on. It's, you know, it's not always brainwashing. And yeah, I can see that. Like, I don't think it's always brainwashing, but a lot of it I see, I'm just like, it's like, hey, let's split people into a group. And then we can just have those two groups fight over everything. And that'll make our product trend, or our, you know, the law we want to pass trend, to see if people like it. It's like, they just use us through social media as like a sample group of like, you know, like a focus group. And I just see this manipulation, and it just, I don't know, I guess it causes me to go on. It's a lot.
When a product is free, you're the product.
Yes. Yeah.
If you, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they don't make money because of you. They make money because they sell you to other companies.
Yes. Right. And other like ideologies and things like that. So
yeah, they basically are like, okay, you want to market to people, we have people's attention. It's right. Basically like a game of attention. And and that's what it is. It's a game of attention.
Yeah, pretty much. But see me, like I try to only use it for like, I want to see what my friends are up to. So like it's like that's a good way to do that. But I also like I literally just use it to like, oh, did they post something about Resident Evil today? They post something about Venom. They posted the Mortal Kombat trailer come out. Like I use it for that. And I find myself
I never find any news. I always just wait for you, and I get pleasantly surprised by things.
Yeah. Someone else told me that too. They were like, you know what? I don't even have social media anymore. But every once in a while, I'll go to your YouTube channel. I'll go, oh shit, this happened.
Yeah, I just wait for you. That's every time we talk. I'm always like, so what's new in the world of comics, Seek?
Right. This is funny. Eddie says, yeah, then some random person will show up and tell Seek that his grandma stepped on a claymore and his dog ran away. It is. It's like I think sometimes when I open up about like the things I'm going through, I feel like some people feel like that's like an invite in to like share their stuff. But it's like their stuff's always way worse than my stuff. Like, and I'm just like, fuck, what happened? And then I don't even know what to do with I'm like, okay, I'll stop talking about my shit then. Jesus.
Yeah, they're like, you're like, I had an aneurysm, and they're like, oh man, like,
yeah,
I slowly went through a wood chipper and was saved at the waist, and you're like,
Right.
oh
And
god.
I'm like, oh yeah, cool, shit.
Like,
yeah. There's a great skit. I don't have it, but it's from the show The State, where this kid comes back from college and he's coming home and he walks in and his mom's his mom's there. She's like, hey honey, how are you? And he goes, oh, hey mom, how's it going? She goes, hey, he's like, I'm sorry to, barge in like this last minute. And she's like, oh, it's okay. We had a lot going on this week because you have finals. So we didn't want to bother you. And then he's like, okay. And then his sister comes in the room. She goes, buddy, is that you? And he goes, yeah, it's me. And then she's like touching his face. He goes, whoa, what happened to you? And they're like, oh yeah, your sister went blind. But we didn't want to bother you. You had finals and all this week. And then like his uncle comes in, he has elephantitis. And he's like, what the hell happened to you? He's like, I got elephantitis, but come on, dude, you got your finals. Don't let me bother you. And then his uncle, his brother or something is like been cut in half by a helicopter blade. And he just like half of them's hanging out. He's like, hey buddy, what's up? And he's like, I didn't want to bother you. You got your finals and all. And then finally at the end of the skit, he goes, that's why I came home. I wanted to tell you guys that my finals got delayed till next week. So I came home to study. And now I got to deal with all your bullshit. And he goes, my body, my eyes, my orphans. What about me? He's like, what about my problems? He's like, I'm going to be up in my room trying to study now. And it's like, I don't know. I was just thinking about that skit. But yeah, sometimes, I don't mind people opening up. I know sometimes people don't have people to talk to.
Yeah, they don't have an outlet and they just are looking for something.
Right. And sometimes anonymously screaming into the internet just to get a real feeling out sometimes is helpful.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to sort of like admit or get something off your chest or be like, I just need someone to know this.
Right. And that's fine. So I don't want to deter people from doing that. But at the same time, like what I try to say is like, yeah, I know sometimes I go off on my tangents, like I have the answers to everything. I don't. I just give my opinion. But I try to tell people, especially because we have young people that watch the show, I'm like, go talk to an adult in your life that knows you. Like getting any advice from me is a bad idea. Like I'm just a stranger on the internet. And I know some people watch a lot of my stuff and they feel connected to me, but it's like, but you should still, after screaming it into the ether at me on my channel so that you got it off your chest, now go talk to someone who actually might know what you're going through or someone in your life that can do something to help you change it. And that's what I've been lately trying to encourage. I'm like, yeah, I'm not like a Zen master. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life. Like I can barely pay my bills most of the time. And I feel guilty when I buy a $20 toy. So it's like, don't get your advice from me. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. The grass is always greener on the other wood chipper.
Could have went head first. Yeah, it could have just been a pair of legs talking to me.
I always love when people kind of come back with that sort of mentality to like real trauma. Like if someone was really in here being like, I lost my legs in a wood chipper, and someone's like, could have gone head first. It's not all that bad. Like, yeah, man, you can't argue with that. Like, what are you going to say, wood chipper guy?
Yeah. It's tough because it's like, I go back and forth. Like going through aneurysm stuff is like, I project when I'm around people like you, or or I'm in a work situation, or I'm here on YouTube, like it's an act. I project like an outgoing, energetic personality.
Oh,
Like
it's good to know our friendship is a fraud.
no, that's not true. You know that. It's the level I'm at is not my usual level. Like the things I feel are, but like I've learned from seeing people look at me when I walked a certain, because when I got out, I was in a wheelchair. Then I went into a walker. Then I went into walking, but I still walked funny, and it was like hard to like get my legs straight for a while. So like when I went back to LA, I was like the way I walked up and down stairs was really weird. My back was hunched. It was like I saw the way people looked at me, and I started to really hate it. So then I started to learn as I got better at walking and doing other things and stuff, how to mask it better. So that way, when I'm around people, they don't see it. And when they're not around, I can be myself, because it's easier to slip back into that mode, which is why I don't like having roommates sometimes, although it's better for me health-wise, because if something happens to me, someone can take care of me, or know what to do. But also, I feel like I can never, like when I lived with Kevin or Victor, unless I shut my door and locked myself in my room, I could never be me, you know? And it's people don't understand that, like that I put myself through that, but I happily do it because I like not seeing that look in people's face, when they look at me. So I do. So when people come in and they have problems that are bigger than mine, I'm like, well, I know they're not doing it to like say my problems aren't a thing. They're just sharing their experience. So I know it's like they're not trying to have a competition with me, obviously, but it's like, but I don't mind people opening up, but I guess I do like, on some level, I want people to understand what I go through, but I also, if I talk about it too much, I think it pushes people away sometimes. So like, that's why I'd stop going to Harmontown, because I felt like, oh, I'm telling people about the real me, and it sucks. Like, cause I would see people on Reddit and stuff, like back when I used to go on Reddit, I stopped really. So Harmontown pushed me away from Reddit, because I would see people going on there going, oh man, when Seek comes on, his stories make me uncomfortable. It's hard to hear it and stuff like that. And it's like, and I know I shouldn't let that stuff bother me, but it does bother me.
Yeah.
Because I don't set out to make anyone uncomfortable. Like anyone who watches my YouTube channel, I try to be I want people with different points of view to come in. I don't want anyone to feel alienated, but sometimes when you are honest about yourself, it alienates people, and it just sucks. It sucks. So yeah, tell me something about yourself.
I don't know. There's nothing new. I just have started watching the Star Trek Next Generation. I'm almost done with season 1, and I'm loving it. It's such a great show. I'm so glad I started watching it.
I'm glad you did too. I've seen some episodes. I never grew up a Star Trek fan, but
I didn't either.
But it's vastly, as I've gotten older, the concept of it is vastly more interesting to me than a lot of other sci-fi that's out there, because I really like the concept that humanity has progressed so much that they don't even bicker over stupid things like skin color, or religion or anything like that. And what they do now is they have this united mindset to go find other life forms and try to peacefully coexist with them. And I'm like that. And of course that doesn't go well sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But I love that they try. Like, I think that's so neat.
And a lot of the episodes are really they're very one-off and very high concept.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of my problem with a lot of like modern television. It's sometimes too episodic,
mm-hmm.
where, I mean, you can pick any great Star Trek: The Next Generation episode, and they're all kind of self-contained. The same way you can pick like a Stargate episode, or an Orville episode, or a Simpsons episode.
Right.
But like, could you pick a specific episode, or of, I don't know, what's a really episodic show? I can't. I'm blanking. Like The Sopranos or maybe Breaking Bad. But those, watching those out of context, they lose a lot of their gravity.
Sure.
But if you watch something like Supernatural, especially in its early seasons, had a lot of that one-off quality.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like The West Wing, in terms of a loftier show, that's another one that's like got a lot of good one-off quality.
I love that, because one-off qualities is usually something easier translated in sitcoms.
Yeah.
But I like when shows do it. I'm a big fan of that. That's why comic books, a lot of times I don't come up with like 10 issue arcs or 50 issue arcs. I usually pitch 1-issue stories, which actually turned a lot of people. Like, I talk to editors and they're just like, really, 1 issue? And I'm like, well, I have plans for more issues. There's just not like a connecting thread. It's just like, here's a case for Batman, and then here's a case for Batman. So I don't really like do that kind of stuff, but I personally like episodic stuff, and I find it harder to write, which is why I like it so much. But yeah, I agree with you on Star Trek. I think that's one of the strengths of that show, is that it's just like a bunch of one and dones, and it pulls you in. Twilight Zone's like that, they're all one and done stories. Like, I love that stuff. Yeah.
I like it because you can have threads that sort of overarch through it, but you still can kind of have that individualistic quality per episode. And I find it's just so rare nowadays. And I don't know, I find that short form storytelling so much more impressive. When you have to confine yourself to smaller spaces in your writing, you have to just be so much more effective. You have less room for error. Like, if you write a 500-page novel, you can have a lot of extraneous stuff in there. Like, you read, I don't know, like a Tom Clancy novel, he'll have a whole chapter that's just describing like the mechanisms of a nuclear bomb. But if you only have 5 pages, you have to be really effective. You have to have your arc. Like, I think it's just more impressive because it's like someone, I don't know, it's sort of like if someone's like, I'm going to draw a picture, but I'm going to do it with 5,000 lines. I'm going to draw a picture and I'm going to do it with 9 lines.
Right.
Like, you're like, oh, you have to be a lot more creative and strategic when you only have 9 versus 5,000.
That's why, like, because I know, like, I have people that watch this channel and they like, they're like Snyder Cut fans and stuff like that, and they're very excited for that movie. Like, I'm not excited for the movie. I'm
excited to watch it with you.
Yeah, like, there's a level for me from an artistic standpoint. There's a level of, because I know I just talk about comic book movies and stuff on this channel and video game stuff on my other channel, but I prefer like real movies. Like, I'm kind of a artsy fartsy guy. Like, I love black and white movies. Day the Earth Stood Still is one of my favorite movies, or this is my favorite movie. But I like Children of the Lost City and City of Lost Children, and I like all these like foreign films, and I get into that stuff. I just find them more interesting, and so I get really artsy fartsy. But I do think, like, with Snyder, it's not that I don't appreciate the artist telling his vision, but like a 4-hour endeavor, I'm like, yeah, on a comic book level, I'm like, ooh, yay, that's cool. 4 hours of Justice League. Who doesn't want that on like a raw fan level? But then my other side goes, yeah, but 4 hours, like I feel like that's, like you said, it's like if you had 2 hours, you have to get everything right. Every scene has to matter, everything,
there's a lot more room for the extraneous.
Right. Whereas 4 hours, like, who knows? I mean, everything could still fit and work, but that's where the editor side of my brain comes in and goes, cut this, cut this, cut this. Like, you don't need this. This sets nothing up that's important.
The way I'm going into it is thinking of it like the extended edition Hateful Eight.
Yeah. So which I like a lot.
I haven't really seen I've seen them, but I haven't really paid attention, honestly.
But that's a different animal, because, like, to me, like, what Tarantino's really good at is tension and mood.
That's a fair point.
And I don't think those are things, like, Snyder's great with visuals and maybe like character moments here and there, but like mostly visuals, and I will never take that away from him, because he's got like a really
he's a very unique, cool visual style. Yeah. I think a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
Like, that's my whole thing. Like, with Snyder, I think he's a fantastic director, but I think when he has story decisions to make, he makes poor story decisions. Like,
and that's my opinion too. I know everyone doesn't share that opinion, but that is mine as well. But
like, his early movies are amazing. Like Watchmen, I love the Watchmen movie. I
love
think he
Watchmen.
does an amazing job with that. I think he did an amazing job with Dawn of the Dead. Sucker Punch is, I think, story-wise, a terrible movie. And
Yeah.
visual-wise, one of the most
Amazing.
impressive movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, technically on a visual level, that movie is outstanding, which is why I watch it and own it. But I do not watch it for the story. It's like I said, the only thing I like in that movie is they use sex as a metaphor for violence, which is interesting, and vice versa. But it's like besides that, the movie doesn't have anything really, I feel, too artistic about it other than the visuals. But James Gunn wrote Dawn of the Dead, and it's a remake. So he had an easy platform to build off of. Watchmen, he just did a shot-for-shot almost remake of the comic book.
It's an adaptation, yeah.
It's not. I don't call that an adaptation. I call that borderline forgery. But I do like his version, and I like the ending he did better than the squid idea, where he just made Dr. Patton the deterrent.
I agree. I think that's a better ending. No offense to Alan Moore fans, but I think it just works better for something that's a little more contained like that.
It's like when Gus Van Sant remade Psycho, the Hitchcock movie. He just did a shot-for-shot remake of it, and I'm just like, well, that's a lot of hard work, but where's the creativity? Like,
real quick, I just want to address, I like that the Watchmen show sequeled from the squid ending.
Yes, yeah, I did too.
But I also still like the Snyder ending of
the
Watchmen movie.
And me calling it borderline forgery is not me slamming the movie. Like I like Watchmen a lot, and I like the longer cut of it because they put in like the Black Freighter story and they mixed all that stuff in. But again, my editor brain's like, well, you can cut all that out. Like you don't
necessarily need it. Yeah,
right,
it's more
for the movie, right?
But that's where the artsy fartsiness of like the sort of storytelling comes in. I don't know. Over the past few years, I've really gotten really schlocky. Like I've just developed that I really love schlock. And if I'm gonna like take a serious story in, I'll just read a book. Like
yeah, exactly.
But if I'm gonna watch a movie, like I want to watch something with a ton of action, with maybe some laughs,
right?
With just like a cool story and I don't know, like that's sort of what I'm looking for now. And I think, to circle back, I think I'm going to like the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, so on an artistic level, I think I will too. But like I said, I'm of two minds of it. Like, of course, the fan version of me is like 4 hours of Justice League with like really good visuals. I could get into that. But at the same time, like I remember Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. And Man of Steel, I like more than Batman vs. Superman. But Batman vs. Superman, like I gave Man of Steel like a 6 out of 10 and Batman vs. Superman a 5 out of 10. And then I watched the extended cut of Batman vs. Superman, and I still gave it a 5 out of 10. Like it didn't actually go up for me. I know it did for a lot of people, but I'm just like, yeah, some of this is stuff I would have cut. Like I don't care that the guy's name at the beginning was Jimmy Olsen. I would have cut that too for time, because it doesn't really matter to the story. It's just a fan moment. And that's the thing, is sometimes you gotta sacrifice those, but that's the challenge, right? Like you gotta challenge yourself as a storyteller. If everyone could just make 5-hour superhero movies, where's really the challenge? Because you'll be able to fit everything you want in there. And it's like, you got to challenge yourself. You got to sacrifice. And, but so this point here, he says, I still haven't watched, Eddie says, I haven't watched the Justice League. Should I watch that or the Snyder Cut first? What do you think?
I think if the Snyder Cut ends up being 4 hours of fan service moments, then probably just watch the Justice League. But I don't know. I feel like we got to watch the Snyder Cut first before we can answer that question, because who knows if it's awesome? Who knows if it sucks? Like, it could be better. It could be worse. Like, you never know how these things are going to go. It's true. I don't know. Like, I don't know. How do you like Justice League? Like, Justice League is a movie.
Oh yeah. So I kept my review up because I'm sure people are going to go back to it and be like, you seem like you really like that movie, and like, so I left it up so people can see how I felt. Like, obviously I went to the premiere. That's where I got to meet Andrew, who was in the chat earlier. Me and him became friends at that premiere, who he's very excited for the Snyder Cut, I believe. But again, Andrew's an artist. Like, he's a photographer and a visual storyteller too. So I know why he's very interested in that. But we went, and it was a tough experience, because when you see that bad CG on Henry Cavill's lip and face, but he's in the theater with us, Like it was a really weird feeling. So all I could think of that night because I was so uncomfortable watching the movie with the stars like, right around, like near us, like I didn't know what to do. That's why I had to go see it a second time with Kevin, because I was like, well, at least Kevin and I can laugh at this movie. So I remember laughing at the movie. I remember the time with Kevin and us having fun laughing at it, like we did with Predator, where it was just like, oh man, this movie's bad, but like in a mystery science theater kind of way. So there are genuine moments in Justice League that I liked, but I honestly don't know who shot those moments. So like that's why I'm curious to see the Snyder cut to see if those were Joss moments, or if they were Snyder moments. I'm thinking they were Snyder moments, to be honest with you.
I
don't know.
I think if the Snyder cut comes out and it's fixing a lot of the CGI and updating a lot of the CGI that was kind of lackluster in Justice League, because let's be honest, the CGI in Steppenwolf,
oh, so bad.
He looked like a PS3 character villain. And if we can get that up, like if that's been sort of updated, if the Henry Cavill lip problem has been sort of addressed, and some of the other general CGI elements have been brought up to snuff of what you would expect from a quote unquote Justice League movie. Yeah, I'd say the Snyder Cut's probably like the better option.
Have you seen the new Snyder Cut trailer?
I haven't watched anything because I'm just waiting to watch it with you. I want to see everything like with the eyes of a newborn child.
Fair enough. Because I was like, do you want to watch the trailer real quick before we go?
I really think Snyder having Super kill Zod was the downfall of the DCU. That set the jury tone for the rest of the movies. I kind of agree with that. Like Man of Steel, my big problem with Man of Steel is like I feel like that movie should be so much more lighthearted.
Right.
Like there's one joke in it where it's not even, it's kind of like a serious joke where Superman's sort of getting bullied by those truckers in the bar and they're like, what are you going to do? And he leaves and they come out and he's like destroyed their trucks.
Right.
And that's really the only kind of comedic beat in that whole movie. There's a few others, but they sort of fall flat against the dreary, dark tone of them all. Like, I don't know. With Batman, you can do that drearier tone, but with Superman, it feels so out of place. It just feels like it doesn't feel like Superman. It feels like a sad Superman. It feels like emo boy Superman.
Yeah, I understand. Like that was part of like the journey. Everyone was like, "Oh, the point is that he starts off and he makes these mistakes and he'll learn and become the Superman that we all know and love and stuff." And it's like that's fine. I mean, I totally get that. I get that there's a bigger picture here. The problem is that most people, and I don't care, like that's what drives me nuts about having this conversation with people who are Snyder Cut fans is they only see it from the fan side. And it's like, we got to separate ourselves as fans and realize there is a broader audience out there. Like movies don't make $1 billion just from fans. They make $1 billion because like average people who might even be watching their first ever Superman movie are going to see it.
Yeah.
You know, so to set a tone like that for them, and they're the masses, you can sit there and say, oh, we're us Snyder Cut fans or us this fandom or that fandom, we range in the millions. And it's like, but you don't. Like you like 7% of the world is on Twitter. That's it. So to sit there and say like Twitter, like everything that Twitter says, everything that's trending is like, that's what we should follow. It's like, you're just drinking the tea.
It's sort of like it's a pretty self-contained ecosystem that's a lot smaller than I think most people realize.
Sure. And I don't want to take away from the Snyder Cut fandom because they've done what I have said it numerous times on the show, what no fandom has ever done. So they've certainly transcended Twitter, and there are certainly a lot of them. And there's a lot of people more and more every day as, you know, people are learning more and more about this version that are getting on that bandwagon and they're getting excited for it. So that's good. But at the same time, it's like, don't make all your decisions because it trends on Twitter. You know, like that's not it's just an echo chamber, like Eddie here says. And I agree. So the Zod thing, it was a choice and it was a risk, but I think it did exactly that. It set a tone for a character that most people weren't ready, I think, for that tone to be set with that character.
I feel like the movies have progressively gotten lighter. Like Man of Steel is such a dark movie, and Batman vs Superman, while it has its dark elements, it feels even more lighthearted than Man of Steel. Man of Steel is, I feel, more dreary.
Yeah, they add more humor into Batman v Superman, but again, that seems reactionary and not so much intentional.
Yeah. And it seems like they go into Justice League trying to find that balance again, where they keep having to be like, okay, I think we still need more.
Yeah, that was the thing, is like Batman vs Superman wasn't funny enough for some of these executives, and they were like, okay, we need to add more humor to it. And it's like, well, humor isn't the thing. I don't mind Zach taking a serious approach to these movies. Like, that's not my issue with his movies. My issue is just like some character stuff. Like the Zod killing thing, that used to drive me freaking bananas when the movie first came out. But I have since relinquished my upsetness over that, because to me, the movie has bigger problems than that scene.
My biggest issue is the Pa Kent thing.
Yeah, I have a big issue with that. And I have a big, like, and then little things like, why is he a reporter at the end of the movie? Like, I'm like, nothing he does throughout the whole movie shows him on a path to become a reporter. So it just seems like at the end, they're like, well, of course he's a reporter. He's Clark Kent. He works at Daily Planet. It's like, that's not a fucking answer. There's nothing in the movie that sets him on the path to become a reporter.
Yeah, it's like, why is he a reporter? It's because Clark Kent's a reporter. But it's like, but
in this world,
there still needs to be a reason for him to decide, like, why does he love journalism? That's maybe the better question to ask, is like, why does Clark Kent want to be a journalist? There's no explanation for why Clark Kent wants to be a journalist in Man of Steel. You could maybe argue that it's because he wants to keep, quote unquote, like his ear to the ground, but he could be a police officer and do that. He could be a lawyer for the criminal justice system and do that.
He could work at Starbucks and do that.
Yeah, like
super hearing.
like he could deliver mail and be constantly going around the city.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
Shazam the most. Shazam is the best DC movie.
I really like the first Wonder Woman also, though.
The first Wonder Woman's good, but I just think Shazam captures fun. Like, it's a kid's movie in the best way. Like, it's kind of frightening.
Yeah, it's like a Sam Raimi
magical. Yeah, it's like a Sam Raimi movie. That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah, it's like, it kind of has like some dark moments, but it's like balances it out. Yeah, I like Shazam too. But yeah, so for me, I don't know. It's like I'm interested to watch Snyder Cut, though, because from an artistic standpoint, I'm curious to see, and I want to see what he does with 4 hours. Because like I said, I'm not against watching a 4-hour movie. I have no problem doing that. I just I like to challenge myself. So often when I write, you hear me talk about it on my Venom vlog all the time. I don't like when writers come into comic book rooms and go, hey, I have a 50-issue arc. I like Tom King. I have a 100-issue arc of Batman. It's like 100, dude. We don't even know.
Everyone has a 100-issue arc. Like, you can go to any fanboy on Twitter and they can pitch you a 100-issue arc of Batman.
Right. It's like, so I don't like that challenge. Like, the challenge is like, well, you're not challenging yourself. You 100 issues, you're going to drag this shit on. It's like a Dragon Ball Z fight.
Like I remember, I won't name the writer, because I was talking to a writer at a convention who wrote a DC book.
Yeah.
And they said some fan came up to them with binders, and they said, I've written 50 issues of this book that you write. Help me get it published. And the guy's like, why would I work to give you 50 issues of my job?
Right.
One. Yeah. And two, like, how are you going to start off pitching 50 issues? Who's going to, if you can't write a 1-issue story effectively, who's going to be like, oh, give him 50?
But that's the problem, is like, I would love that you said that, because not a single editor at Marvel or DC say those words. Like, someone will come in, like Donnie Cates, or someone will come in, Mark Waid, and they'll go, here's my next 4 years of this comic. Dan Slott does it all the time. Like, they just go, here's my next 2-3 years on this comic. It's like, I would look, honestly, as an editor, I would look at them and go, cool, bro. Tell me your first 12 issues and then shut your mouth after that. just tell me the first 12 and let's structure that and formulate that and make that work. And then after the first 6 come out and they're doing well in sales, and we've decided not to cancel you after the next 6, we'll talk about your next 12. You know, it's
here's what I would ask. Like, I would say, okay, you got 4 years of your stuff, break it into half-page 6-month outlines.
Right. There you go.
And then write
we need
6
the first one
issues.
now. Yeah.
And then bring it to me. And then when you have all that done, I'll take a look at it. That sounds great. If you want to do a 4-issue thing, then pitch the 4. Tell me what each 6-month issues, like tell me what each 6-issue arc is going to be then.
Yeah. It's a shame. Editors, I've the more I hear about the stuff editors do in comics right now, I'm just like, those don't even sound like editors anymore.
They're more coordinators. They're more like, is it done on time? Did you finish it?
They follow up with emails like, hey, what page are you on? Scan it and send this to me. I'll send it off to the letterer. Like, they're more mediators than anything. Yeah. And that's fine. That's always been a thing with editors too. There's always been that kind of part of their job, but there is that side where it's like they either bring a story to a writer that needs to be written, or they help a writer at least work out a couple beats, or just communicate with the writer and the artist and work better. And it's funny that communication has gotten worse as technology's gotten better, where comics used to bring it down to like a place that you have to pay them to scan your page, and then you'd have to get that faxed over or something to some. It's like the amount of work they had to go through. They had to hand deliver pages to inkers and then mail them across the country to get colored. It's like, but books still came out on time and were good. Now we have all this technology to make things easier.
All this like color from home, draw from home, paint from home. Like you can do it all on your iPad, no matter where you are. You can be working on comics.
Real quick, we'll finish up Eddie's comments here, but I want to bring this up and say, Eddie, you're wrong. Titans is the worst fucking show that's ever existed. End of conversation.
I haven't seen Titans, so I can't comment or agree with you, Eddie. I wish I could, just to spite Seek, but
I reviewed the first season, and I was such a negative Nancy on my reviews that I deleted the episodes because someone from Warner Brothers was like, "Wow, you really hate our show, don't you?" And I go, "I hate the shit out of this show." And they were like, "Okay." And I go, if it bothers you, I'll delete the episodes. And they're like, "No, it's cool." And then just to be nice, I was like, "I'll delete them." I go, "I think I really hurt their feelings." And that was not my intention. I honestly didn't think they'd even watch it. So I was surprised at my 10 views. One of them was someone who worked on that show and was heartbroken by me ripping apart the plot and bad writing of that show. The editors love these fanboy sagas. They just let them loose and don't do their jobs. I mean, I agree with. We know for a fact Absolute Carnage has no editing going on. Absolutely. And I would say I've been reading a lot of the King in Black tie-ins, and I don't even know why these books exist. Just to put the banner on it to sell books. That's literally all it is. And I haven't read comics, so that may be why. Oh, well, in the 80s, you were a fan of 2 comic books. If you were a teenager, at DC, you were a Teen Titans fan, and at Marvel, you were an X-Men fan. And that's just what it was in the 80s. In the early 80s, early to mid 80s. That's those. If you were a teenager at that time or a kid, those were your books. Then eventually you got into Spider-Man and other characters, but that is like the quintessential 2 books of the early to mid 80s. So I love Teen Titans, but I hate that show with a passion.
You're talking about the live action one?
Yes.
Okay.
It's on HBO Max. We can always.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's on HBO Max. I'm waiting for Swamp Thing to come on HBO Max. I want to watch that.
Yeah, so I haven't watched that yet. I'm afraid because when I heard it was only going to be 1 season, they announced that before the first episode even aired, or around the time the first episode aired.
Yeah, they're like, it was too expensive to produce or something.
I don't know. So I couldn't bring myself to watch it because I'm like, I don't want to see this end. I mean, I
just hear it's amazing. I hear it's great.
I heard nothing but good things. So I was like, I want to watch it, but I also want to save it for like a good time to watch it now that I know it's only 1 season. So
I think I'm going to read a bunch of Swamp Thing books and then maybe watch it.
You should. Alan Moore stuff is really great. The stuff before that by Lynn Wein is really good. I like Brightest Day. It's the 10th anniversary of Brightest Day. I've been arguing with myself.
God, 10 years? I remember Brightest Day and Blackest Night coming out in single issue form.
Yeah, that was the year of my aneurysm. And Brightest Day was the first comic I was reading post aneurysm.
Oh, wow.
And that book meant a lot to me because it's literally about a book about 12 people who get a second chance. And I was like, Wow, how fucking odd is that? like here I am with my second chance, and I'm holding a book about people getting a second chance. So I fell in love with Dead Man. I've always loved that character, but I really fell in love with him because of Brightest Day. And then Brightest Day is the reason Swamp Thing's back in the DC universe. So
Oh, okay.
So anyway, yeah. So I might actually make a video on. I can't afford it, but like I was thinking, if I ever get another bonus check at work, they're releasing a box set for it's. I'm sure it'll drop in Amazon, so I'll probably wait for it to drop. But the standard price is $300.
Oh,
It's I think 13 graphic novels, and it's all of Blackest Night and all of Brightest Day in graphic novel hardcovers in a box set.
do they have a soft cover version?
They no. This is just for the 10th anniversary, so
Oh,
it's just like a one-time thing.
I'm actually going to look it up right now to see if it's on there because that sounds kind of cool.
I'm actually not an Ethan Van Sciver fan. I don't like his his art's it's okay, but like I wasn't reading Green Lantern because of Ethan Van Sciver. I was reading
Why
Green
does
Lantern.
that name sound familiar? Oh, he was in those like Brian Michael Bendis Avengers books that I was reading.
I don't know.
The new Avengers. Because I remember seeing his name on like covers.
I don't think so. I don't think he worked at Marvel at that time. He couldn't
For,
have because
like-
he was drawing Green Lantern at the time, I thought.
For New Avengers. There was something I was reading that I saw. It was like an older book. Maybe was it 42? No, it wasn't 42.
I don't know. He's done some Marvel work, but I don't think that was it. But no, I liked Ivan Reyes. Ivan Reyes started popping up in Green Lantern around Sinestro Corps War, but also Carlos Pacheco. So yes, EVS drew Rebirth, Green Lantern Rebirth, but after that was Carlos Pacheco, who did like the first couple issues of Green Lantern. So yeah, EVS he wasn't the reason I read Green Lantern, and he drew some of it, like the Atrocitus arc with Red Lanterns. I think he co-created Atrocitus. So he's done some cool stuff, but also Shane Davis did some of that art too. So yeah, when I think of Green Lantern, I know Ethan Van Sciver put a stamp on that book, but he's not who I think of when I think of Green Lantern. Pretty sure EVS was in the 90s. Yeah. But Bendis Avengers was in the early 2000s. But so yeah, I don't know if it was the same.
So
anyway,
maybe I don't know. I feel like I read something. It was like an old. Oh no! Now I remember what it was. It was Grant Morrison X-Men.
Yeah. He did a couple of those, I think.
Yeah. Okay. That's where the name sounds familiar from because I remember seeing his name.
Yeah, and you read that recently
X-Men.
too.
Yeah, because I read that in the last year.
Yep. Yeah, I think he did a couple issues of that, and that was before he jumped over to DC. Yeah. Awesome. So, any last words since we ran 2 hours and 40 minutes tonight, Alex?
God, I don't know. Is there anything else we need to address?
No, because I got to call my mom before she goes to bed, and then I also got to go to work tomorrow.
Well, okay, this has been fun. This was a good show. I really enjoyed this one.
I did too, and we started later tonight. If that will happen sometimes. So if that is the case, because sometimes it could be my schedule, Alex's schedule. So we'll do our best. But if we ever end earlier than like now, I'll let us keep going for a while. But tonight it's already 10:30 and I got to get ready for work.
Yeah, I gotta pee.
Yeah, and I got to eat. None of us ate dinner.
Yeah, I gotta go make some French toast or something.
Yeah, French toast.
French toast and bacon.
Thanks for the in-depth Street Shark stream, you son of a bitch.
It was a great Street Shark session. I love Street Sharks. Welcome to Beyond the Street Shark Wall.
I will probably do some toy McFarlane videos soon. I did get this. It was a gift from my mom, as always. Her and my brother keep looking for toys for me. We're trying to find all the pieces to build Bane. So this is Wonder Woman.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering what the buildable figure was.
Yeah, this is Wonder Woman with a mohawk from this comic book from Last Night on Earth or something. Batman Last Night on Earth.
Oh, that's kind of a fun title.
Because I have, it's Last Night with a K. So it's like Last Night on Earth. And then there's a Scarecrow, and he comes with Bane's body.
Oh.
And then they make this. So basically when you build Bane, he stands up and Scarecrow hooks on his back.
Oh, that's kind of cool. It's like a backpack.
Yeah, and then there's this Batman in an Arkham Asylum straitjacket, and he's got Joker's head in a jar that he carries around with him,
Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
and it talks to him. So
Very Futurama-esque.
yeah, so hopefully they'll make an animated movie of that one day, and we could discuss it. So real quick, next week, what do you think? Deathstroke, or should we change it up?
You pick Deathstroke. We can do Deathstroke. The Dragons one, I've seen that one. So this will be one of the few
that you've seen, and I've only seen like the first 20 minutes of.
Yeah, so this will be a fun contrast. Could Bane be repainted to look like Venom?
Absolutely. Yep.
It's just the same mold. They just attach a Gene Simmons tongue to it, and that's Bane.
I'll just pour slime on it. It'll be fine.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Alex, thanks for being here. Eddie, thanks for hanging out with us. Andrew, thanks for being here earlier. Anyone who's watching later, if you managed to make it through the whole 2 hours and 40 minutes, thank you so much for hanging out with us too. And we'll come back next Thursday with Deathstroke, Knights and Dragons and Knights.
Something like that.
We'll come back and watch that next week and talk about that. And then Alex will make his pick for the week after. We'll do that.
Yeah, I got to pick something new. I'm going to look through that this week.
All right, sweet. All right. So we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Peace.
Bye.